Hello everybody, I'm going to take it that this is working. I just need to check and see. Aye, no worries, we're on. So I'll take it that screen share, what the fuck? Why is this fucking screen sharing? Right, that should be this. A bit low. Sorry about that. 1, 2. 1, 2 testicles. 1, 2, 3 testicles. How's that? Are you okay now? Are we satisfied? Pleased? So, right, how are we all doing, people? Let's have a wee look-see. Running a bit late here, so need a wee minute just to get into a wee rhythm. So the usual format this evening, well, not the usual format, obviously the last couple of times we've been running a format here. So I'm just going to continue with that. We'll go to the emails and see who's emailed. Again, in fact, wait a minute, I get my thing, my tech abilities, there you go. If you would like to join me this evening, or if you've got something you want to share with me or say, you need to email that above me, and I'm just going to deal with each email as it was there first, obviously as I come to it, and I'll move through them. So obviously I've titled this "What's Beyond the Imaginary Curve" this evening. Again, a lot of the issues and the aspects that I've always spoke to, you know, for me, what's beyond the imaginary curve once you make this realization? Well, every aspect of your life that you've assumed to be true and taken for granted, you have to analyse and assess it. You have to understand your own internal processes. For me, this is an evolution of the mind and us realising what we've been a part of for the previous era, the games we have played with each other, the structures we have created, and the position we are now in. So for me, you know, there has to be a huge, you know, look at our internal workings. I'm talking about understanding yourself. I'm talking about our interactions with each other, the behaviours we display towards each other, our lines of communication, understanding what communication actually is, understanding how communication breaks. There's so many facets and layers to this than just, you know, oh, people are telling me lies in the world, you know, about, therefore I'm now woked. It doesn't work like that. There is no shortcuts for me through this. And again, I would dread the thought of us ever under the possibility of advancing to, you know, a further understanding of our reality while we maintain the same destructive, you know, incompetent, childlike, naive mindsets that we see so prevalent in the world today. So for me, we have to have a real needle into ourselves, each other, and not be scared and shy to have these things out in the open. You know, I speak a lot about propaganda and manipulative behaviours, which you see in all walks of life, from, you know, your everyday experience right up into, you know, what's the word? Fuck, again with words, man, what is happening here? Institutional levels. You know, it's rife and prevalent within, you know, all aspects of our civilization, if you want to call it that. For me, it's anything but civilized. We walk about acting like we have a grip on reality and we have a grasp on ourselves and our understanding of ourselves and each other, and that we're at the cutting edge of human development and all this bullshit. Well, everybody knows under that veil it's dysfunctional. Everybody knows they're wearing masks, projecting nonsense at each other, gaslighting each other, playing manipulative games, avoiding looking at our own internal workings. So beyond the imaginary curve for me has got so many complex layers to it, you know, but the root of all of this for me is the individual. It's the individual understanding the processes of their own mind, their own inner workings, understanding what they've lent themselves to, what they've bought into, how they've been swayed and manipulated through all aspects of their internal workings. This is the crux of the whole thing for me. It's no the Illuminati, the Jesuits, the Jews, and of course there's corruption and there's you know, aspects going on that are criminal, but you as an individual, you can only control where your attention goes. That's it. The whole game lies at your feet. There's no escaping that. No matter how much people try and fight against it and throw up defences in order to try and avoid it, this is the nuts and bolts. How do we get in these positions? How do we get to the point where we were so naive that we ended up in a position of handing our children away to state institutions and governments and other institutions to influence and affect the thought processes? I mean, it's an absolute fucking joke. People talk about evolution. They talk about macroevolution and microevolution and organisms. You know, we're talking about the mind here. That's where the real evolution lies. You know, there's a serious dysfunction here. And it's about time we grew out of this adolescent, fucking childlike mindset and started to get a real grip on what we actually are and what we're a part of here. We can write any story we like. Okay? If you keep being apathetic and enabling the existing narratives to run, nothing's going to change. The only way that's going to change is by understanding your own processes and then shifting your attention. Walking a walk that is yours and truly yours, and no some walk that's been offered to you. Okay? So, that's just a wee example of maybe some things people want to discuss this evening. I don't know. I'm just going to keep putting these things in the titles and hope that it encourages discussion in different aspects. But again, it doesn't have to be focused on that. You're welcome to come on here and discuss whatever you want. Bring up whatever points. Let people know who you are. Again, if you're emailing me, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to read the emails as I find them. So if you're sending me an email that you want kept private, you have to state that to me. Or I'm just going to treat it that you know and you understand that I'm going to read these emails out. Okay, I'll have a bit of discernment. Obviously, I'll have a quick scan, and I'll be able to tell whether people are trying to be anonymous or not. Okay, so even if you want me to read something out but you don't want a name attached to it, that's fine. So let me just get my faculties together. How we all doing, people? I'm just going to have a wee look in a second and see who's here in the chat. And then I'll open right up and we'll get on with it. We'll see who's here. Again, the last couple of times has been excellent. It's always nice to get some proper discussion happening with people. I'm also going to analyse, probably in the next couple of days, the last video I put up of interactions on the street. There's analytics to be had in regards to responses and signs to look for, and also aspects of where I have made mistakes and butted in, or you know, never focused and honed in on the point. Again, it's all a learning curve for everybody, me included. You know, nobody has all the answers here. So again, in regards to our communications with each other, I'm going to have a real look at that. Again, it's not going to be drama based. I'm not interested in, you know, mindless drama. I'm more interested in assessing some of the aspects that I think are relevant and important to be speaking to. So anything that I do discuss in regards to communications and experiences that I've had, it's not going to be on a personal basis. I've got nothing personal against anybody online or any peoples here. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm only interested in the progress. Okay, so let me just open up my emails. You know, for me, I'm way beyond all this nonsense of dichotomies. You know, first port of call when we're dealing with anything is we have to have a separation of the filters when we're looking at information and discussing things with each other, and that is always, you know, subjective, objective. And we need to categorise these things when we're looking at them and really start to understand them. A bit of mind mapping, I think, would be Stephen. Well, right, Steve, I see that there. I'll have a wee look at that once I'm done. Right, so well, I've got two for you, Steve. Okay. Right. Right, Kurt Cooper. Hello there, I'm Kurt. I've been subscribed to your channel for a while. A little about me as I live in the States. I'm 32 and hope to build a rapport with you. I don't have a channel or anything, I'm just surrounded by believers. It's suffocating at times. I was watching this video and thought you'd find some interest in it. If you haven't seen it already, start the video at 1 minute 55. It's a CNET video. Also to add quick, as I enjoy your channel and how you are very consistent on topic, but also aware of much more like micro, macro, consciousness, social justice warriors, white colonial racism, rainbows, magnets, common law, and the sneaky tactics being used. Anyway, that's all I got for now. For real, stay upright and keep going there. Cheers, Kurt Cooper. I'll open that wee video up. No, here, wait a minute, let's get on. Right, I'll check that out. Sorry, before I get to that, I was going to say hello in the chat. Flat Earth Female, how you doing? Hope you're well. Feeling better anyway. Sphere Skeptic, Mary Moon, German R, Eye Level Awakening, Riddle Me That, Spoon, Phil Jones, Matthew C4, Mary Moon, Flat Across Music, Bob Fawcett, Phil Jones, John C1, 791 Mike, Mary Moon, Neil McCrobb, No Pain, Goodan, glad to hear it. Moonshiner, Chris F.E. Jackson, how you doing? Riddle Me That, Chris Hayes, Stephen Parker, oh fuck, Scott Gallagher, Beyond Belief, Tony Dixon, Apocalypse Now, Steve, Luke Manel, Pied Piper, how you doing? David Marks, getting things jumping. Wait a minute, German R, Tracy Storier, how you doing? Five Doors, how you doing? Pico 250, Jack Stander, Anders Ace, Sphereless, Anthony Bingham, Stephen Parker, One Man He's Detector, Stuart Lundy, how you doing? Bates, how you doing? Juan Carlos, Rickus Vaticus, Martin Haley, Boris Chops, No Mercy Sheep, Speedy 8, Corey Gentry, Moonshiner, Sheeps and Neeps, is that Sheeps and Neeps? Wait a wee second to check this channel here. It looks like Sheeps and Neeps, but it's saying I'm not subscribed, so I don't know if that is you. It looks good if it's fake, that's what I was thinking. Aye, it is you, right, okay, how you doing, mate? I seen you were on earlier, you look a wee bit better than previous. It's nice to see a wee bit of energy back, a wee bit of life, mate. I hope you continue on in progress. So it is, right, okay. Just never be too cautious, you know. There's a lot of spoofing going on and stuff, so. I see that, Des, but I don't know why I wasn't subscribed to that. That's why I was curious there, because I see the other videos coming up. I just assumed that was your channel. as I say, people need to be cautious. There's so much spoofing of accounts going on. You know, always just double check. Click the person commenting, whether it be in the chat box or in a comment section, and just have a look, because they're mimicking a lot of channels. And you know, people are making comments left, right, and centre, and people are reacting, you know, without actually checking to see if it is the genuine user. So anyway, so where was I? Right, cut. Okay, so Mark McEwen. Hi Dale, my name is Mark. I am from a small town in Pennsylvania in the US. I have so many things in my mind. I wish I lived closer to you, as I have no one to talk to about this stuff, and you seem like my kind of people. I stumbled into Flat Earth about 2 months ago via Mark Sargent, Flat Earth Proofs. He strikes me as kind of jackass, by the way. Don't know the guy, but I can only look at the walk and what's important to me, and there's a lot of inconsistencies for me. Again, I'm not going to pass judgment on the guy. I don't know him at a personal level, and I don't appreciate people jumping on bandwagons of hatred. Again, people are quick to jump on bandwagons of hatred without fully understanding, you know, the drives of people, what their incentives are, what's their motivations, what situation or scenario they may be in. You know, I can only look at the walk, the content that's on offer, and that's all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the rest of it. You know, people don't like me because of my mannerisms and my personality. It's by the by. I mean, again, I find it really difficult that people are professing to be awake and conscious and all that fucking stuff, but they can't understand these simple aspects. You know, why are we passing subjective judgments on each other? That's where a lot of the root of the problems are, and it's something I'm going to be talking to. Again, you know, it's a huge aspect, and it plays a huge role in progress, or lack of progress, if you like. What we'll do, Bill. Anyway, however, some of his points intrigued me to the point where something I found incredibly ridiculous suddenly made me stop and say, wait, what? He ultimately and very quickly led me to Marty Leeds, and I don't look back. Next, Marty led me to Eric Dubai. I pretty much binge watched Eric for weeks and weeks. Finally, Eric led me to you. I have to say that my world has turned upside down. You know, I travel in business all the time, and now I see things completely different as I look out the window of the plane. Needless to say, I'm no longer sure what we live on, but I'm sure it's not a globe. I don't want to take up much of your time, but I wanted to get your take on a few things. What is your perspective on the sun, moon, stars and planets? I personally feel that we can never know what these things truly are or how they work beyond the crap we see in our TVs. That the focus should be on our observable surroundings, but now when I see them I wonder just what the hell they are. Well, same as me. I mean, it's intrigue. And many people have heard me saying that the luminaries are an irrelevance to the question of the dimensions of the earth beneath our feet, which is true. That statement is true. You get nothing discernible, measurable, quantifiable from, you know, intangible lights in the sky in regards to the dimensions of the earth beneath our feet. So when it comes to his questioning that, you know, I have to state these things to remove the fluff, because it's a needless, you know, escapade to continually go on and on about intangibles and people making assumptions and mathematical concepts of what they think's going on and trying to apply it as some sort of objective truth. You know, but again, I'm just as intrigued as everybody else. For me, it's further down the road. Again, if we can get people to the point of actually, you know, understanding that there's questions being asked, and again, this is part of the street activism stuff that I'm heading towards now, is trying to show people that this should be open to question. If we're talking about an objective science, it should never be ridiculed. People should never be ridiculed and chastised for bringing valid questions to the table. So once we can get, you know, these aspects ironed out, we can overturn them and have a look at the assumptions that we've all held to be true, and, you know, reassess the majority of the things we hold to be true. Then maybe we can progress into a further understanding as we move forward. But, you know, right now I don't know what's going on up there. there's repetitive patterns that people have extrapolated upon and created mathematical concepts through the repetition of patterns above their head. But other than that, I don't know. You know, there are obviously integral aspects of the workings of this machinery, whatever it is, you know. So I'm as intrigued as everybody else, mate. That's my perspective. I could make up loads of stuff and say things that I've heard and ideas and concepts that have came my way in regards to these things, but that wouldn't be any use to anybody. How did I come to the conclusion of flat earth? What is a clincher for you? Well, again, you have to use that term flat earth very cautiously. I will claim that the earth is demonstrably level. It's a plane, you know, flat, and its connotations and preconceived ideas and notions about it are loaded. And for me, we have to be very cautious about what we're looking at that. But I mean, what did I come to the conclusion? Oh, the facts, you know, the geometry that we assume, the applications of practicality from engineering, construction, navigation, you know, water, you know, direct experience just through your sensory apparatus shows you that, you know. Again, it's just a matter of understanding, you know, things like geometry and the applications that we're using in the objective reality. So if we're using Euclidean plane principles, you know, that don't apply to curved surfaces, then that should tell you a hell of a lot. So it was a combination of a few things. But obviously for me, the water is the biggest thing, you know, understanding that substance. Anyway, what is your feeling around the treaties keeping people from exploring the South Pole? It's not just the South Pole. There's treaties in restricted areas all over the place. People focus too much on the South Pole, and there's a lot of relevance placed upon that, which there should be relevance placed upon it, but not the be all and end all, because people are overlooking the other aspects of restrictive controls. Again, it's not just the South Pole, the North Pole. We've got border controls. You know, you have so many restrictions and control mechanisms in place here in the inner circle of where you think you are. So my feeling around them is, what right do these fucking people think they have to dictate to you and I where we are allowed to go and where we're not allowed to go? Who has that authority? Where did they get it? That's what I need to find out. Okay? I know that they're just pulling it out their ass and making up stories about where they think they get their authority from. They can go and get fucked. Again, another aspect of the attitudes of people and how it has to shift from this childlike adolescence of authorities, hierarchy and stature. Right? I need somebody to lead the way for me because I'm too fucking weak and small-minded to do it myself. It's absolutely fucking pathetic and grates on me. It's time for proper evolution to kick the fuck in and kick the children into touch. Not even children, because that's an insult. Vagrants. Anyway, thank you for your time. How does one tune into your live streams? I tried to join your Facebook page, but I have not heard back. That's not my Facebook page, mate. That was hijacked a couple of years ago, a few years ago now. And I'm totally blocked out it. As I was saying last week, the only time I've ever created a sock account was to try and gain access back into it, and I couldn't even get in that way. So it looks as if they've just taken it over and they're just leaving it dormant. I don't even know. I can't even see it to see what's going on. I would love a chat with you about some of this stuff. Sincerely, Mark. Well, just hit me up, Mark. You need to request, you know, a specific time or whatever. Marty TT, nice one, Marty. I don't know if you'll be here listening, but I'll get back to that. John Stevenson. A wee file for your birthday, Dell. I took it at the meet-up the other week. An unusual angle for a portrait, not the usual straight-on smiley, not a flattering angle for the subject, but I reckon she's knocked it out the park. Anyway, happy birthday, old codger. Cheers, Arthur. A nice one, mate. Tony Smario, hi there, I'm just hoping you're a real person. I like your approach and straightforward activism. Not sure about Eric, but I'm hopeful. I would really love to talk with Gav, but I don't even know his channel. Well, you know, this is the point here. Again, you know, and I appreciate people looking for people to trust, right? But when you're involved on Tinterwebs, or you're involved in a search for you as an individual about your objective reality and truths about your objective world and what's actually going on, you know, I find it quite bothersome that people still attach hope and faith and expectation on other personalities. Look, it's not about the personalities, as I've said so many times. That's why it's good that there's an abundance of persons for me, and as long as they represent objective facts and they stick to the truth, then it appeals to so many different factions of society, because me as a person, my mannerisms, my accent, my use of language, my expressions, my demeanour, my look, my haircut, my tattoos, they may not be people's preference and their subjective preferences. So people cast judgment on that and cut their nose off to spite their face. You know, throwing the baby out with the bathwater and all that fucking stuff. It's irrelevant as who I am as a person. Why are people trying to place relevance on a person? Somebody to place their faith and their trust and their hopes in. That's what led us into this fucking situation in the first place. Okay? I am equal to you, you are equal to me. There is no hierarchy in my mind in regards to other sentient beings. As soon as I enter into that, I'm setting myself up for a whole load of fucking nonsense. Okay? I'm probably a manipulative type character, if that's the games I want to play. What you should be interested in is the walk of people. Is the content they're offering you? Is it empowering you? Is it helping you with progress? Is it giving you some new perspective or outlook? Is it giving you a new possibility? Is it triggering something in you? Anything that's useful to you? Then focus on that. Again, there may be aspects of me that you get that from. There may be aspects of me that you don't. But what people tend to do is they see a certain thing in their subjectivity that they don't agree with. And from there, they create an enemy. And they think they have to create a divide between them and this person because this person doesn't fit some aspect of their subjectivity. And it's totally bizarre. Again, it's a whole other layer of the problems that we're encountering. People really need to understand these things. And I'm going to do my best to keep hammering at it. Because these are the important aspects. How did we get in this fucking situation? How do we prevent it from happening again? How are we going to move forward? So, you know, I don't know what that means. No sure about Eric, but I'm hopeful. Hopeful of what? Look at the guy's content. I don't know what you're hoping for. If you're hoping for me to be elected as president of the world or something, or Eric or some other YouTube character to be elected as a president of your world, then you're barking up the wrong tree. You know, there's a real issue there that you have to look at. I would really love to talk with Gav, but I don't know his channel. His channel's called Vortex Puppy. I have a lot of research that surround the metaphysical question of geocentric cosmology. Research surround the metaphysical question. I'd be intrigued to see if there was anything I've not heard before in regards to metaphysics. I welcome any kind of discussion on or off air. I don't need recognition. I want to help reach the tipping point that will bring these topics into everyone's sphere of recognition, and therefore to the stage of honest exploration in every sense. Well, that's spot on, because that's exactly what I'm after, Tony. That's what I've been shouting about for all this time. Again, point this out to people as I've got the opportunity. Anybody that's, you know, trying to champion this whole question as some sort of dichotomy, like it's a debate to be won or lost by warring sides, is totally lost. There only is one objective reality. It's not going to be won by or understood by rhetorical devices and morons debating each other endlessly. Right? That's, people are getting caught up in a win-lose battle here. It's not about that. It's about individuals understanding themselves and understanding the process of how to establish what an objective fact is. I see the increasing bullshit clouding the true geocentric awakening, for the flat earth of itself is meaningless. It is in the consideration of why the deception and what does the real cosmology mean. Well, again, more aspects of what, for me, is beyond the imaginary curve. As I say, we've postulated, and I've postulated so many aspects of the reason, and we can see one of the real reasons. It's to keep you still, it's to keep you in control, physically, emotionally, psychologically. What that's really about, what are they hiding, what is it about? Is it about some sort of spiritual game? Is it, is the religions maybe true? Is it the devil? I mean, anything's on the table as far as I'm concerned, but it has to be open to discussion. This is the point. People think that I'm not willing to have discussions about these aspects, but I totally am. I'm open, I'm here every week and have been for years, offering people the opportunity to have the discussions, but what I get is zealotry and dogmatism, and I get people coming and trying to, just dictate what their subjective dogma or whatever it is, and I'm not interested in that. That's not going to progress anything. We have to be able to lay these things out openly for discussion without getting personal about it. Okay, so I'm up for that, Tony, anytime. And I'm sure Gav would be as well. My computer recently died, so I'm writing on an iPhone, keeping responses as short as possible. Looking forward to hearing from you, Tony. Well, hopefully you hear this, Tony. I'm an absolute shit for emails and all that stuff. I shy away from it. I like being able to just read them out onto camera, Hi there, I was watching one of your old uploads. It's you talking to a guy called Eric in 2017 and titles Street Interview. Oban, can you tell me what the piece of music is you used on it? Cheers, Gaz. It was my own, Gaz. It was my own piece of music. So before I read this email, people, you just email at the top if you want to join me. Send me an email and I'll send you a link, and I'm just going to deal with them as they come in. So far I've not seen any requests as I read through these, so I'm just going to read them out while I'm here. Hi, Charles from Canada writing. You just wanted to drop some baggage in your lap to see what you make of it. Something definitely feels hijacked. Whether the victim is our minds, bodies, or this place, I do not know. Well, I think it's environment and your own mind, for me anyway. We are affected by environment and circumstance, and if we don't have a proper guide there, again, we have to look at these aspects of why we were never introduced to things like the trivium, the quadrivium, and offered an understanding of our own internal workings. So if you don't have that from the off, you're operating in a position of bewilderment and you're lost. And then from then on in, you're going to look outwards to your peers, family members, friends, social circles, groups, peers, pressures, and you're going to be moulded by that. You're going to start to mould yourself into the options that are available for you. So again, for me, the responsibility lies at the individual again, but we can succumb to environment and be moulded by conditions in the environment. So for me, there's twofold there. Bodies or this place, I do not know. Could be all three, exactly. For me it is. Whether prisoner or hostage, I cannot say. Well, right now I would say we are willful hostages. What I see in the majority of people is a kind of form of Stockholm syndrome, and people are willfully defending their bondage. They're quite happy with a false certainty that they have clutched onto. And it's really up to them, So, the hostage aspect, we would need to assess that. If ideally we had the populace of people, the majority of people, taking responsibility for their own discernment back and analysing their own processes and what's going on around them. then we would see if we were free and whether we could move freely and as a unit, or whether we were going to be met by resistance. Then we would know if we are, prisoners under a hostage situation, or whether we're only prisoners of our own doing. So I don't know yet, to be honest with you. It seems though that we play a symbiotic game with something while we are here. What I can say, and many listening may find this grotesque, is that my experience tells me that we all deserve or simply require bondage. Well, you could say that. Again, I have to break that apart and say, well, for a start, we don't know exactly where we are. We don't know the limitations. We don't know if we're in some sort of limited scenario, isolation, restriction, limitation of what we call the world, this reality. Where was I going with that? Sorry. We require bondage, you were saying. Well, it may be the case. As I've said before, people are quick to judge and jump to assumptions about evildoers and the lies that are being told and perpetuated. And for all we know, there's a requirement for this. Again, I hark back to, kind of moralistic and ethical aspects of living, and how I can have sympathetic understanding towards some of the religious aspects that have been offered up, because if we have to assess the base worldview that we're operating from, and what guides us by that. Do we have an overlying rule? Was there chaos that went on before because we never had any sort of governing rule? Again, I can get into the discussions about these aspects. Again, I'm no advocating any of this stuff, but I understand some of the argumentation for why a religion or a transcendental overseer may be necessary, so that we don't all descend into total nihilistic fucking free-for-all. Not to say that that's no probably more naturalistic or, the way it should be. Again, no advocating that. I'm just talking philosophical points of view here and putting them on the table. I don't subscribe to any of them. I'm still a questioner. There's still so many unknowns before I could even, assess any of that. So I'm not going to jump into a particular philosophical point of view and say that's the one for me. Hell, we have to have a look at it. So, your aspect there of we require bondage may very well be true. Again, I don't know what's went on previous. This is the aspect where I say to people, there may be justifiable reasons for the position we're in right now. Or perceived justifiable reasons. Not that I'm justifying any of it, because again, I don't know the reasoning. I don't know what's went on in previous generations, what was discovered, what was found out, what was met. I don't know. There's so many aspects here. Again, people are too quick to jump forward and start assuming that they know what's going on when they don't. And that said, bondage could encourage growth. Well, exactly. Again, if you postulate we were in a time of nihilistic, destructive behaviours, maybe decisions were made that we needed some sort of guiding rule, and these things were set up and implemented to try and stop us descending back into that again. Again, we still have to ask the questions. Well, who had the right to try and socially engineer anything? And again, we have to question aspects of what is social living. What are we even doing? Is that natural? Should we be doing any of that stuff? Again, these are all parts of what's beyond the imaginary curve, overturning all the stones of assumption and things that we take for granted and having a real close look at them and hold them up, see if they hold up to scrutiny. I say that we deserve or require bondage because of what we allow ourselves throughout our lives. Every living thing is anathema from an altruistic sense. Me, you, my mother, my little dog who taught me so very much about the fundamentals of right and wrong. Again, stuff that I'm open for discussion. Because again, these are other aspects, subjective moral reasoning. Is there objective moral reasoning? Is there such a thing? Where are we getting these things from? Again, these are all complexities and layers of his living and social groupings. And again, we have to look at, is it the drive for social groupings that bring about these plans, these structures of living that are anything but natural, you know? I mean, hopefully I'm making sense in these aspects. I'm just skirting through it because I'm reading this email, but these are definite aspects that I want to be talking to. And let us just assume that I rather enjoy some of the more abominable aspects of this existence, like birds and dogs. Would a transcendence into a supposed higher state of consciousness make me more realistic in my appreciation for the beasts of this plane, and see them only for the pathetic, pitiable creatures that they are? I should hope not. I look at animals like the common ground squirrel. This creature spends a best part of a summer and fall gathering resources to survive a harsh winter, only to be casually run over in the spring by people who do not give a shit about the effort it puts into survival, nor the dignity of its success. Again, you're totally spot on. It's this pomposity and this hubris that human beings display. And again, I want to discuss and talk about the drives, what brings those types of behaviours about. Is it an underlying worldview? Is it you know, pure ignorance? Why is the state of mind the way it is with certain people? Well, I totally agree with you here. You know, we discount and ignore aspects of, you know, other sentience, like it doesn't matter and it's irrelevant. But I agree with you. For me, I've learnt a lot just watching the simplistic aspects of life, from my children to the animal kingdom. There is a lot for people to learn there, if they just have a look. And who would die in the streets if McDonald's ever closed its doors? Hell, I might even crush the animal with my car. Although I try not to, and I don't say things like who cares or treat the animal's life as insignificant exactly. It may very well be an insignificant from a human perspective, but looking down from the big picture, it is no more insignificant than we are. Totally spot on. Example, my employer rides with me most days to work, and he gets irritated when I slow the vehicle for the smaller critters. I guess size matters to some folk, or is it just money? I could rant for hours about this guy. He is a poster child for all the symptoms of this cult. I know that this message is loaded, but if you read this on air, I would be grateful and say thank you for the indulgence. I have remembered the face of my father. Readers of Stephen King will understand that reference. May our paths cross one day so that I might shake your hand. Cheers, Charles Blackman. Well, you have offered a lot of complexity there, and obviously I'm just skirting over it right now, but I'm sure you're well aware that, you know, these aspects have to be looked at in depth. It's, you know, and broken apart in their individual parts. You can't just skirt over it and think we've covered it. So I will be getting back to the majority of that. Again, people, if you want to join me, you need to send an email that's above me right now. Stephen Steen, here is a better explanation of my video and why it proves density. Gravity claims a constant 9.8 meters per second squared no matter where on earth you are or how high you are, but when you start falling, the force they say exists disappears while falling. That isn't possible per their ad hoc theory. Gravity would be pulling 100% of the time, no matter what the object is doing. But with density pushing down, it makes perfect sense. Density will only push down until it can move. Once it moves, it is in equilibrium, and therefore the reading on the accelerometer would be zero while falling. Guess what? It is. That is why density columns don't mix while falling, which Globers like to point to that as proof. But in reality, it only proves density more. Gravity would have kept acting on the medium if it were real. For of course it isn't, and I have proved it. So Stephen Steen has sent me a video here about this, and I did subscribe. And I'm pretty sure I shared that last week, Stephen. I'm going to have a wee look through it. I'm not going to share it right now, but we'll get back to it. Okay, this is private. By all means read it out, but not my name. The infighting of FE is setting dangerous precedents toward paedophilic behaviour, as in FE and the like could be labelled this way, alongside that smokescreen. Full exploration, 5 years now. I don't know what you really mean by that. You know, I see it being branded about quite often, these terms.
Bye.
You away? Bye. See you later.
Bye.
Beanpole.
Shut up! You're a beanpole.
You're the beanpole. Aye, so I don't know what you're getting at. Presidents toward paedophilic behaviour. You know, I'm not seeing much of that. Obviously, I've in times of anger, I've hinted towards it. Being the possibility of some people who, for me, I can see as being on task, and what the drives may be for people that are on task to perform some of these duties, what is binding them. But I certainly wouldn't condone people, you know, throwing accusations like that about. You know, again, you know, we can't just willy-nilly start asserting things about people that we know nothing about. It's a very dangerous game to be playing. So again, for me, it's part of the propaganda. It's part of the psyop aspects of this question that's being posed. You know, people should be well aware that we're talking about something that's objective. Why do we have games of propaganda, manipulation, gaslighting, subjective nonsense going on left, right and centre? These are the aspects I'm going to be speaking directly to, because I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of people and their hypocrisies running about with messiah complexes and thinking they're so innocent and heartfelt and lovey-dovey spiritual, you know, people. Well, they're the most destructive, nasty, vindictive people I have ever come across. And I have met some wrongings in actual reality, but the behaviours I see online are fucking purely despicable by people, and the majority of them are people who profess that they're so innocent and heartfelt and loving. They're just so blinded by the destructiveness of their behaviours. And again, it doesn't have to be a complicit act that people are involved in. It's just that some people are so blinded by their own veils and their own masks that they will never see it. So I don't expect these people to ever have resolve or come to a better understanding or you know, build bridges again or any of that stuff. But I don't care. I'm just going to speak directly at it. And people can label it as whatever they like. For me, it's aspects of the progress that have to be looked at and understood. And again, I am no immune to any of it. I'm not scared to look at aspects of myself and take responsibility for some of the things that I've contributed to and put out there. And I'll be looking at the whole fucking process. Because again, if we're really serious about, you know, proper understanding and proper evolution of the mind, these are the places we have to go. Okay? No personality projections of superiority and brilliance and untouchableness and all that fucking shite. None of yous are like that. Okay? None of yous are gods. Okay? They're just fallible human beings. Same as the fucking rest of yous. So people need to wind their fucking necks in. In particular, these smug messiah complex fucking do-goody-gooders that think they're untouchable and never wrong. Right? They're fucking pathetic. So, I don't know about any of that stuff, but, you know, I'm not interested in it. You know, all that fucking propaganda pish can go and take a fuck to itself. If people want to focus on a particular aspect of content, brilliant, bring it to the table. If you're bringing me, I don't like him just because this, and don't have the ability to understand that your own subjective projections of judgment, right? I'm no fucking interested in you. You're an absolute moron. No, you, Matthew, you know, whatever. Just in general. Tracy Story, and I just realised the name I said it, but it doesn't matter because nobody knows who it is. It could be anybody. Tracy Story, a wee poem for you. Globely. I heard today that the earth is flat. Tell me, my friends, what do we think of that? Have we been lied to for years and years? From the government, our country, and most of our peers? I looked into it, and I know that they are right. But what does it mean for me? Do I stand up and fight? I have a good job, a wife and a home. I don't want to be a flat earther standing alone. So I will put my blinkers back on, hide my shameful face, and get back on the treadmill and rejoin the rat race. For the ones who are brave and stand up and fight, who won't be knocked down when they know that they are right, I salute you and hope that one day you will prove that the earth is not spinning. In fact, it does not move. The water is not bendy and gravity has no pull. That Newton's law and Einstein's were just theories, not a proven rule. Too many questions unanswered, but they will someday have their voice, when all governments will have to tell the truth. There will be no other choice. More land may be discovered, but for now they will bide their time, as each lie is being unravelled and NASA's truths are undermined. They will all stand together and fight the truth till the end, that we don't live on a globe and that water does not bend. Excellent, Tracy, that's really good. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Cheers, Steve. Happy birthday. Right, what's this one? Sean Yates. Hi Dale, as the title says, where are we? Or where we are. Once you realise that your knowledge of where you are is told like a fable in a book and a bedtime story, and as parents we perpetuate that story, I feel sad about being part of that. My respect from watching you on BTIC is not of your no-nonsense approach to the imbeciles that used to palm bomb, but to your approach to being a father to your children. My knowledge that the earth is flat and stationary came only this year. My sons are grown up now and they must find their own way. But for you and generations of your family, they will know the truth. Not through fables or bedtime stories, but by imparted knowledge. Absolutely brilliant. You are a great example to your sons. Kind regards, John McDermott. Yes, sir. Take care. Thank you, John. That's really nice as well. Appreciate that, mate. It means a lot. It's always nice when people can see you with clear eyes. You know, never mind that, you know, I'm just a lump of meat on tinterwebs that people think's just an object of their fucking whatever. You know, people again tend to dehumanise characters that they see on tinterwebs or TV or whatever. They forget very quickly that you're a sentient being and that you have emotional and psychological processes, and that you're not just there as an object of their fucking idiotic projections and judgments, you know? So, I do really appreciate that, Sean. Slick James, hey there, would love to chat about this cognitive dissonance people on this so-called globe have. Thanks, Slick. Is that you asking for a link? So let me just get to that then. At last we get to somebody who is looking for a link. Right. I'm also going to send this to Gav. Reply. Okay, Slick James, that's been sent to you. Veronica. Well, thank you very much, Veronica. Thank you to the both of you. Really appreciate that. Hopefully you're there and you heard that. Right, where am I here? What's going on? Right, aye, back to that. Aye, I know, Matthew, but I know the full name. Nobody knows who you are. So it was just a slip of the tongue. I can only apologise for that. It wasn't meant. Nobody knows who it is. It could be anybody. I want to make too much of a deal out of it. I do apologise though. So I've sent a link here. I'm just going to wait and see if I get a response from that before I move on to the next. So what we're saying here, people in the chat box, any goodness getting discussed here? Is it all how's the weather and favourite colours and all that? You want to ride my bike? Are you worthy? I'm talking about smart meters. Gravity is keeping the oceans glued to the earth. Imagine ships, etc. should be sucked up. I know. It's so tedious now talking about these aspects of the globe bollocks. You know, it's actually fucking boring. You know, again, you know, people encourage you when you're in these discussions. The way in which objects fall has got nothing to do with establishing the dimensions of the earth beneath your feet. The heliocentric globe cults require an imaginary, unattainable, non-entity force that's not traceable or quantifiable or has any dimensions to it, you know, or any of that. You know, there's no geometry to it. It's a nothing. They require it for their ad hoc explanations and their bullshit. You know, when we're talking about the dimensions of the earth, you know, objects and the way they fall has got absolutely nothing to do with it. So you'll see in the desperate attempts from a globe cult zealot, they will continually bring these aspects up as some sort of relevance. It's irrelevant. You need to learn to just cut it off and don't waste your time talking about nonsense. Now that's it. The unbelief, the two favourite globe cult red herrings. Gravity and Mushkai. What's my favourite magic? My favourite magic?
Dell, your mammary glands are showing today. What's up, man? You gotta wear thicker shirts, bro. Anyway, what's up? How you doing?
My mammary glands, what, my tits? You're
Yeah,
obsessed.
yeah. I'm actually having to transvestigate you pretty soon.
You're obsessed with tits. What is it? You want to see them?
No, you did that one time on my show. Please don't do that.
Closer look. There you go. That's what we call man tits, son.
Yeah, it's what happens when you take steroids and you don't keep up the intensity.
That's what happens when you get old, son. You'll realise that when you grow up a wee bit. Once you get over your 30s and you approach 40, you'll start to realise that things start to sag a wee bit, you know?
No, I'm in my prime, dude.
Hang on a wee minute. Hang on a wee minute. Because he's always obsessed with man's boobs. And, you know, I managed to click on yesterday and seen that you were live for whatever reason. It came up in my recommendeds. And I managed to video record you taking pictures of wee sailors with a top off and superimposing other characters' heads over the top of it so that you can have fantasy wanks or whatever it is you get up to in your wee hovel.
I was just making a thumbnail, Dell.
Okay. So, Can I help you? I noticed that you've got a very lacking chest there. You're a bit skin and bone, son. You want to try and get out and exercise and get yourself off tinterwebs. Stop living out your fantasy worlds online. It's not healthy for you. You're absolute skin and bone. I bet you can't even do a pull-up or a push-up or a sit-up or any of these things. Probably pretty pathetic for a man of your age. What are you, 30 years old or something?
That's pretty hypocritical. You're sitting out there basically needing a bra right now. But hey, let's talk about how you think the stars can't tell you.
It's called muscle, son. Maybe the camera's no flattering me because of the angle.
No, those are mammary glands, bro.
No, they're solid tits. If you were here, I would give you a grope. Right?
No,
but you probably piss and shite yourself all at the same time if you ever come into my person. Okay? So, if you get anything to offer me, other than your fantasies about my tits, son.
Yeah, actually.
Why do you always approach it? Why?
Oh, you're just going to interrupt?
This is an aspect of you, right? You think you've got this upper hand in psychological games and one-upmanship.
I do.
And you
when
think,
it comes to you.
you think that I'm going to be somehow psychologically affected by some irrelevant, faceless gimp online telling me I've got tits, right? That doesn't work with me, you wee prick. Okay? You, son, are just a little fucking child. So again, you're on here. Why are you here? Why are you obsessed with me? What is the matter with you?
I just want to talk about how you don't think the stars mean anything.
I don't want to talk to you about what you demand I speak to you about.
Okay.
You coming in here under a false pretense that you're somebody else. So
Tuck
cunty
your tail
boy,
and run
you
like
will answer
usual,
to my
bro.
questions.
Tuck your tail.
Shut up, you wee blouse.
Tuck your tail, bro.
What is that?
You don't even belong in this conversation. You're not intelligent enough to know.
Right, go now, because I need to deal with a moron.
Who's a moron?
He's a moron. You're more
Are they coming for
intellectual.
teats?
More
Del?
intellectually savvy than this clown. In fact, away you go.
Dad,
Tom,
you don't
see
think
you
we
later.
live on flat Earth?
Aye. So, next. Right, let's try again. Let's see who's next here. Right, so that was that fucking clown. Right. Michael Atkinson. Yeah, I put this in the chat just now. Check out a new Foles song, interesting video and lyrics that you might want to analyse. Nice one, Michael. I'll take a wee look at that. I'm not going to do it right now, obviously. Hi there, I'm a big fan of your channel, a fan. I am complete. I watch all of your live chats and I appreciate what you stand for, although we disagree about our views about whether the earth is flat or a sphere. I have thoughts to share with you and would like to chat about if you are keen. My thoughts are in relation to where we as people draw the line between our trust in people more knowledgeable and educated than us, and their objective reality, because a balance of both must exist in our lives, otherwise we will die. Really? Your thoughts, Eugene in New Zealand? Well, Eugene, you're appealing to authorities and somehow trying to make it relevant about where, you know, you would place trust in an authoritative figure. It depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about, so, you know, like a parent, you know, warning a kid away from the edge of a fucking cliff because it maybe fall off, then fair dues. You know, but if you're talking about, you know, priests and you know, institutions talking gobbledygook and trying to pass off sophistry and pseudoscience as some sort of objective aspect to our reality, then we've got a serious issue. So you let me know, Speed Freak, when you want a discussion about that, and I will send you the link. Ross Anderson, thanks mate, regards Pico. I'm not sure what that's about, Ross. Stephen Steendale, thanks for all your help and I appreciate you taking time to talk about important topics. I currently have no local community, so the chat here is a great filler. Often you have non-F ears on, of course you annihilate them. People like Conspiracy Cats come on and start talking. Hey, Conspiracy Cats is the best type of nonsense. What I was hoping to do was get some new ideas on how to prove the opposite of their claims that gravity is real. What ideas do you have to get them to say I'm a lying wanker? Well, just question their idiotic claims and how it doesn't add up. Again, if you take aspects of the mass attracting mass, Why do we have water running down larger areas of mass into a lower area of mass? Has it got a sideways pull to it, this gravity? I mean, is it only pulling downwards, but yet it appears to pull in a sideways direction? I mean, you know, there's so many inconsistencies with it. You know, it's just total gibberish. But again, I'm not going to get into it too deep here unless you come in for a chat. Your mum. I joined to talk about whatever. I'm a bit afraid of talking in front of an audience, but I'm hoping that my courage is greater than my fear. I'd like to jump on any opportunity to talk about real things with a real man that seems reality. Send me a link. Okay, so let's see here. What? What is going on here? Hang on a wee second. Copy. Link sent. Right, where are we? Probably. No worries, mate. I'll show you in a wee second what twats like the Globe Zealots get up to in their spare time. Never offline, constantly on here obsessed, you know, and we'll have a wee peer into what they get up to. Perfect timing, for whatever reason it's in my recommendeds, and I get a glimpse of the reality behind these dipshits. On here obsessed with man boobs and men in wee skimpy sailors outfits and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what kind of grown ass man spends his time, you know, looking at that? Some serious denial going on, I think. I think the majority of these people are so petrified of their own tendencies. They maybe have been, you know, isolated in peer pressure as they were growing up. And they're so terrified to come out of their shell and express their true being, their sexuality. And it's all just a pent up, you know, harboured build up of internal turmoil, you know. And then they leak it out in different ways, you know. It's bizarre. Let me see here. File. Show recordings. Where are they? Just bear in mind something here. That was probably it. This is the cutting edge of, how do I mute that? Dardia. And it's culty lunatic disciples. Right. So I'll pause. Let me see what happens when I screen share here. Shut that down. that go? Yeah. This is your man that was just on a wee second ago. Hopefully people can see that. This is your man. This is what the Globe zealots get up to in their spare time. They fantasise about, you know, men online, other characters, and they spend hours and hours taking the face off of some, you know, gay model and then superimposing the people that they fantasise about over. Look, you know, absolute bizarre. This is what characters like him get up to. This is your Globe cult zealot. That's the height of his scientific fucking endeavours, you know. Excellent. Aye. One here trying to talk like an intellectual and talk about objective science, spends 23 hours a day looking at wee sailor men and superimposing men's faces over the top of it so he can wank himself to sleep. Beats me. Each to their own, you know, I'm not judging it, but fuck me. Right, so this link that was sent, I'm not getting any response to it, so I'm just going to shut that one down. I'm going to open up another one. I'll be analysing aspects of some other characters. This one, Benjamin's coming on my radar continually, and I've seen some videos as well that's, you know, for me there's aspects that I can needle into and expose some behavioural issues going on. Right, wait a second here. Right, where am I here? Okay, no subject, stay alive, I would like to come on please, 1 sec, I'll be ready soon, approximately 20 minutes, hold it down. Okay, I'll come back to that one. Okay, so Kieran, hi there, my name is Kieran, I am in Adelaide, South Australia, it's 4 AM in the morning, yeah, woke up to the flat earth from initially C, allegedly Dave, and I realise it's true. About 3 years ago I listened to one of those disinformation agents and I just shut off. But when I watched Dave and I realised it's true, then Eddie Bravo and Eric, then to your channel. I love watching the light go on in people's head when they realise, but also totally mystified by others who are fine to go on as if it doesn't matter. I have a friend who keeps telling me to be careful how I approach people telling them their earth is flat. I think they can fuck off, it is the problem. I've had enough of people expecting it all. People are scared of their own shadow. I always thought we live in an open air asylum. It has always felt we as a civilization have just been spinning our wheels and not just getting nowhere but going backwards. I just wanted to say I think you're very patient and gracious in your approach to the people you interview in the street. I am feeling a little depressed. I heard someone saying you go through a bit of depression when you go through the waking up process, and you run around telling people the biggest truth they will just about ever hear in their lives, and you get met with a look like you are wasting their time. Well, of course, mate, that's an aspect that many of us have went through. It's part of the experience, the turmoil, it's part of the cognitive dissonance. It's not just going to be an easy overnight sensation where you're going to have all your faculties all operating fully and functionally after, you know, some of the realizations. Of course there's going to be an adverse effect, and it can sometimes come in waves. You think you're okay, and then, you know, a couple of months go by and you you lapse into another bout of it. You know, the enormity of the situation that we're in, it's not an easy thing to take. So I wouldn't beat yourself up too much. And again, it's understandable. It's an aspect I spoke to last week, where, you know, people sometimes talk about it as being a bad attribute, that, you know, the willingness to just go freely, shouting about what you've learned or realizations that you've had. That's a sign for me that you're not a manipulative dipshit, and that you want to share freely anything that you find and you think is useful to your fellow man. I think it's an attribute that's to be admired. Of course, you know, the reality sets in. Again, we're not in an ideal situation. So because we're not in the ideal situation, you're going to get burned. And it's going to have an effect on you because people are ignorant and people are willfully ignorant. So they're going to gaslight you, they're going to, you know, throw shit at you. So you have to be very cautious in your approach, which is something I continually speak to. Had an argument with my doctor about it the other day. We're the same age. She's a mate of mine who... Hold on. Who bulk bills me for his time. I accused him of writing more scripts for himself than his patients. He likes a good argument. Just listening to what Tracy was saying about NASA's trouble is they are talking about a space force wanting marginal dominance, which seems like a catchphrase. What the fuck does that mean? That I suspect the baddie in this role is China or Russia. No more Cold Wars to fight or weapons races. NASA can't do a live feed to save their life. It looks like it will be space race that counts. I second what John was saying about role modelling, Del. You do it well, people who have trouble with the truth. I'm losing patience with these idiots, I think you would call them. Well, just take some time, mate, and think about what's going on and how you're going to move forward. So say we're here and we're always open for conversation and discussion. Even if it's off air, if you want to talk in private or whatever, then by all means, I'm willing to engage in friendly discussions with people and share my experiences. That's the only thing I can offer. I'm not a mentor or a guide for anybody. The only thing we can offer each other is our actual experience of whatever we are involved in, and that's about it. Did I send that? No, I sent it anyway. So, you would like a chat, okay? Reply. Just make sure that's the right one. Link sent. What are we talking about here? I'm getting noise. How's it going, mate?
Hey, good day, Del. How are you, mate?
No bad, buddy. No bad.
That's good. That's good. I wanted to share. Hey, good day, Del. How are you, mate?
No bad, buddy. No bad. You need to turn that watch page then.
Sorry, Del. I'm just trying to sort out my my sound because I get a repeat. I'm not sure if you can. Sorry, Del. I'm just trying to sort out my.
You need
my
to.
sound. I get a repeat. I'm not sure if you can.
You need to see the YouTube video you're watching it on. You need to just turn the volume down on that.
There we go. Can you? Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's it now.
All right. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're all right.
Yeah. No. The purpose for my email was to just quickly have a chat to you about. You know, you run a great channel from a sense of giving people measuring stick to look at their own lives and their direct objective reality. And to be honest with you, I've been living my life that way for a very, very long time. Not really giving a fuck about what anyone else says around me, but sorry, if I'm not allowed to swear, I'll stop swearing. But
no, you can swear all right here, mate.
So to basically take life on a day-to-day basis and what happens in your life and apply that, and in your own mind be able to dissect things, look at them, and choose between what holds value for you as a person, and what should be discarded in your life, because a lot of things that apply in your life and what you find as valuable doesn't apply in my life and gives no value in my life, and I think that's part of the premise on which you try and let's call it assist, or
Yeah.
you're not a guide, I know what you mean by that, but
Yeah.
the message that you're trying to bring across, I guess.
I think,
Yeah.
of course, I think what you're talking about is the separation of the subjectivity and objectivity, and how we all have our own subjective lives and experiences and preferences and those types of things. I think we have to realise those things and realise when we're trying to project them onto the rest of the world and control each other through our own subjective interpretations.
Yeah, that's evil. That's evil.
Yeah. For me, I would consider it evil. I see that as being the root of a lot of our problems, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Now, the reason why I sent you the email was that, in my personal opinion, and I'd like to understand your thoughts on it, is if I look at pharmaceuticals as an example, I need to be able to trust a doctor that is prescribing the correct medicine to me, for example, to cure a personal illness that I've got, and the knowledge that they've used to develop these medicines have been based on observations they've made through microscopes and through testing these cures, and to develop cures from that. And I guess that's where the line becomes a bit blurry for a lot of people, between removing themselves completely out of the idea of trusting people versus fully only taking on their objective reality on a day-to-day basis. And I think that might set a dangerous precedent that we need.
Sorry, I think you maybe misunderstood me in that regard, because what you're talking about is something that has practical application, that has real tangibility and direct experience for people. I'm talking about it in regards to things that cannot be tangibly demonstrated. Hearsay, things about history, mathematical concepts of outer world planetary stuffs, and pseudoscience aspects. I don't mean, if something's got is quantifiable and it has practicality and an application to it, then of course, for me, I get totally what you're saying there. I think I've just been taken out of context. Maybe I misunderstood in what I was actually meaning by that. So to clarify for me, it's in regards to, particularly this topic of discussion in regards to, objective science and us as experiencers of our objective reality. Taking things on your direct experience rather than hearsay or conceptual notions coming from institutions. That's something totally different from what you're talking about. Of course, if I go to a medical facility and I have a broken bone or something, then I place my trust and my faith in those people that they understand their job and that they know something that I don't, and that's fine. But there's an actual experience there of tangibility. There's a real world application, which is totally different,
But they can still get it wrong. Do you agree with me?
Of course.
Yeah.
That becomes.
And I think that's the scary. I think that's a scary part, even for me on a day-to-day basis. Del, if you don't mind me asking, and this is you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but how old are you, mate?
I'm 42 today, actually.
Oh, well, happy birthday, mate. Sorry, I didn't know about that.
That's all right.
Yeah. So I'm basically 1 year younger than you, and I think we've probably walked a equal amount of time on this earth, and or this body of soil that we work on or walk on. But anyway, even in today, after all these years of for example, pharmaceutical development and pharmaceutical success, doctors, physicians, surgeons still get it wrong even today,
Of course.
And it's where do you draw the line between what you trust this person is telling you based on their experiences? Because if you walk into a doctor's room today, you will agree with me if I tell you this. You walk into a doctor's room today, they look at the medical journals, they look at their previous experience, and they say, oh, this medicine will probably cure what you have today.
Yeah.
They do that in 5 minutes while you're sitting in front of their desk.
Yeah.
They extract money out of you, and that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later you go back to the doctor and say, no, my left ear is even more swollen than what it was before you gave me this medicine.
Yeah.
And so in the same sense where we got to trust these people, at the same time we also then make an observation and say, but my ear is still hurting, and that I can't believe what the next physician is going to tell me. And so there is a fine line, I reckon, between what we can observe on a day-to-day basis, because if we as people try, and that's what I try to bring across in my email, if we as people try and eliminate trust in human beings fully 100%, we will die.
No, but again, I've never expressed that, about losing, never having trust in other human beings. It's a total different topic altogether, what you're talking about. When I'm talking about these things, I'm talking about us as human beings questioning our objective reality. I'm not talking about a line of expertise. I've spoke about this before. There are areas of expertise that people spend their time in that they are more knowledgeable about. But at the same time, me as an individual, I have also got to accept that, if I was to go to a doctor, I'm not a person who does. And, as I've said before, my doctor's record is probably the size of a cigarette paper, if that. But what people need to realise is that they are entering into a position of faith, that they should be honest enough for themselves to realise that they're walking into a situation where they're placing faith in this other individual, and that they are buying into that, and then again they're taking responsibility. And again, if somebody wants to, they could explore an avenue of a particular expertise, medicine. They can figure out and find out themselves, they can ask questions, they can be curious about the processes, the medications that they're taking. So again, I just want to separate what I'm meaning when I'm saying taking things on faith and not on hearsay. It's in regards to the shape of the earth and us assessing our objective reality. If somebody makes a claim to me about my objective reality, just like the medical example you gave, there is an aspect of quantification there. There's something tangible that can be assessed and experimented with, and somebody can, figure out their own experience of entering into that, so.
Yeah. And so I guess the way that I've made the connection, and please understand, I don't want our conversation to become challenging in any way where we challenge each other, because I didn't try and connect with you to be able to convince you that the earth is a sphere, not at all. No. So I wanted to more have a discussion about trust and objectivity.
Yeah.
So I guess where I made the connection was then, if I'm able to trust the observations of a pharmacist, I guess am I able to trust the observations of a scientist? Am I able to trust the observations of a?
Well, can I ask you to define what you mean by a scientist?
Yeah, it's a broad spectrum of obviously occupations, and I fully understand that. But for example, a scientist could be a person dealing with physics, could be a person dealing with metallurgy, could be a person dealing with chemicals, could be I think there's a broad spectrum of occupations there.
So
yeah.
if you can give me an example then, because again for me it's like a false equivalence. Some of the aspects we've spoke about in regards to a medical practitioner, and the aspects that are involved in that. So the analogy of a medical practitioner in regards to maybe something like the heliocentric model would be that they're telling us that they're getting these substances from a place that none of us can go to, and that we have to take that on faith. None of us can ever experience it. None of us can ever go and witness it for ourselves. These are different. Because again, it's a false equivalence to say that, you know, because I place, well, no, me personally, people place faith in a medical practitioner, that they then should, you know, place faith in some institution like NASA and these depictions that they're showing. Because again, in that, the difference for that in me is that through my experience of my direct reality, these images that they're showing me contradict my experience of my reality. Do you understand? So it's totally different.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you on that basis. So where I would, for example, use an example is a metallurgist who has taken a number of metal elements and combined them into what he is now telling me is for example, if you combine carbon and you combine it with regular steel, you can create a steel that is much stronger but is also more flexible. So yeah. I've got to trust that scientist, that you know, the metallurgist who's developed this.
Again, but again, in that scenario, there is a practicality. There is something that is quantifiable, that's tangible, that you can then get your hands on, that you can then back engineer, or you can take the claims that they've made to you. You can get these two substances, you can combine them and see if what they told you adds up. So again, we're in agreement. Yeah. You know, it has to come into the realms of me being able to experience it, and, you know, not just take things on faith.
Yeah, and so I guess part of the problem is that there's a lot of these occupations that apply methods and equipment and skills and things that you and I cannot access, unfortunately, just because of the, you know, the cost and other factors involved. And yeah. I'm not saying, I'm not here to try and convince you in any way about your opinion of the globe. However, I think the way I can conclude our conversation, which has been really helpful, and I appreciate that you've brought me on, is simply to say that, you know, we need to be open-minded at all times and make that decision ourselves, within ourselves, of course. You know. And I think it's a pretty broad spectrum that we can do. But again, it comes back to you know, to the fundamentals of what you've been saying, in the sense that take on that information and make a decision for yourself. Yeah. Make a decision within yourself. Exactly. If you take on that information and you then decide that it's shit, I'm going to leave it aside, or, you know, this is worth exploring, go explore it. Yeah. But you know, to tell every single person out there through other channels and other people that listen, it's my way or the highway. What I say is religion, and if you don't believe me, you're going to burn in hell. I think is the most selfish, and I think is the most naive possible way of trying to indoctrinate people. Of course,
it's very destructive what you've just described, and for me, it's not conducive to any progress or further understanding. You know, people are too quick to jump on these bandwagons, and if you don't listen to me and you don't go my way, then it's the highway. And again, I don't agree with that at all. But
and again, that's religion.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And again, I've been subject to that in regards to questioning the heliocentric globe model. I've had to put up with all sorts of zealotry and propaganda and utter nonsense from people who are trying to perpetuate, you know, this whole, just as you've described, it's this way and this is the way it is and nobody has the right to question, which for me is totally absurd. I think people like myself have got every right, especially when we're respectful and we want to engage in honest discourse and ask these questions. Then I think anybody who's professing to represent something that's objective, and then they display these tendencies, for me are disingenuous and should be removed from that position, because they don't represent objective inquiry. You know,
you'll find that in a lot of cases these people take a position of authority on their own as well. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that they were not appointed to this position. They somehow have a mental mindset that they are entitled to this position. They are entitled to take control of situations and brainwash and mind fuck people, to be honest with you. And it goes back to somebody like Hitler. You know, Hitler convinced millions of Germans, you know, that what he was, the direction he wanted to take the country in was a good one. And look where that ended up, you know. And that was one demented person that controlled millions of people. And that's what we're talking about. One guy with his ideological ideas can cause such damage. And funny enough, they exalt themselves into that position of authority. Yeah. They never get appointed. They never get voted for. They never get these, call them dictators or preachers or whatever you want to call them in the Christian side of things, or not Christian. Sorry, let me take that word back. I don't want to offend anybody, but the religion side of things is absolutely evil. It's people that take this position with no authority, and then gather a flock of sheep around them and convince these sheep of their false narratives.
Well, the authority that they garner for me is through consent of individuals. Again, it harps back to everything I talk about. For me, the responsibility lies at the individual. Where are you placing your attention? What are you contributing to? What are you aligning yourself with? What are you buying into? What's your reasons for doing so? What are they rooted in? There's a whole psychological process that, for me, the individual has to analyse to assess, how they came to these positions and why they're contributing and putting their attention to the things that they do. And again, for me, when I experience reality, I find that people are blind followers. They just follow suit with each other. They follow suit from their culture, their peers, and they're never really discerning for themselves,
But don't you believe, Del, that could be a part of a human psyche or a human character that is natural within a person? So another person, some people are followers, some people are leaders. Yeah. And unfortunately, you would never be able to change that characteristic.
But the framework that happens within, for me, is a falsity. So again, your child is born and it has this natural tendency to look to its parents. Like any other natural animal, it looks to the parent for guidance, and that parent gives them the tools that it requires, its necessities. It's food, it's survival, but yet we are different. We are born into a dysfunctional, unempowered, framework. So we that natural constitution that we have to look to our peers is usurped by falsities, beliefs, concepts, cultural influence, dysfunction, bewilderment, and then we're influenced by those traits. So for me, it's about dismantling the framework that we're born into and having a real look at that. Again, I talk about it in regards to education, like the trivium, the quadrivium, the liberal arts type things that were removed from mainstream education. We should be pushing to have these things reinstated, because then it empowers the individual. It gives the individual a real process of discernment, how to process information and understand their own mental processes. So
if I could just quickly give an example of my life. Up until the age of 18, I was brought up in the Christian faith. I have even today, my mother and father are both alive and they are still married.
Yeah.
And then I went to a really good school back in South Africa, where I come from. So what I've been able to do, though, in my adult life is take the good things I've learned out of the church, the good things I've taken out of my parents' home, and the good things I've taken out of my senior school education, and I've decided to discard the things that I don't use, or the things that I don't like, or the things that don't apply to my life. I've discarded those, but I've held on to the good values that has assisted me in improving my life and advancing my life for what I want into the future.
Yeah.
And I haven't given a shit about what anyone else have thought of me or the judgments I've received along the way, because I'm not in the church any longer, and I don't give a shit about what people say about that.
Exactly.
And I love my parents dearly, and they're very valuable to me. And then what I was taught in my school, which was a very good quality school, adds a lot of value even today in my life. And that's an example of moving forward and saying, okay, these elements I need in my life, the rest can go to hell, and then continue, and make those decisions for yourself. But that's decisions. Those are decisions I've made for me in my life.
Yeah.
Not some other person has made those decisions on my behalf.
Yeah. But that's the difference between somebody taking responsibility for their own being and just being swept up by external influence. So it's a trait that has to be admired. And I totally agree.
That's why I think the email was to say that that fundamental basic of being able to understand that these influences will come into our lives on a day-to-day basis, and we got to decide what we want to accept, what we want to investigate and what we want to pursue and what we want to discard are choices we have to make.
Exactly.
It's not choices we can blame other people for later on in life and say that, you know, I blame this person for putting me in a cult for 5 years, and you know, because I know that this is a sensitive topic, but I again bring it back to the unfortunate females of the world that get abused by their male partners.
Yeah.
They have the choice to leave that relationship,
but
they don't.
Yeah. But I mean, everything that you've just said is exactly, you know, what I speak about here. I'm in total agreement with every point that you made there, to be honest with you. Again, it's...
So I'm not going to waste too much more of your time, Del. I really appreciate the chat. There's probably other people that want to chat as well, but thank you for the opportunity. And as I said, you know, if it's made your life complete because you've learned today that you've got a fanboy on your birthday, then so be it. And I'm glad if your life's complete. But the other thing I wanted to say, I've said it in chats, but I'm not sure if you read all the comments all that often, is I like that the Honda chair that you're sitting on. Are you a car enthusiast, are you?
No, that was actually a car that had been, a friend of mine had been welding, and it caught fire and it burned the two chairs, so he had to buy two new ones, and I just turned it into a chair. I don't drive, I drive a Honda, but it's not a Civic Type R, you know, so no, I'm a bike enthusiast. So
thanks for the chat, mate. Have a good chat further, and hopefully we'll touch base again soon.
Nice one, appreciate it. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Take care, mate. Gav, I see you're there. I'm going to go to the next email, Gav, and I'll send you the link for the next one. I'm going to shut this one down.
Right, no bother, man.
Alright, mate, I'll see you in a minute. I'll send you it straight away, okay? Bear with me a wee second here, people that are setting another hangout up. That tea is absolutely freezing. I think Emma forgot to boil the kettle. That? I want to be sent here. Don't know what's going on there. Oh, am I? Shit. Right, hold on. I need to forget to stop doing that. Right, hang on now. I'll need to shut that one down. Fuck. No worries guys, cheers, I've got it, I shut it down. Too much to remember here. Right, I don't think I'm sharing it now. It could have been a disaster. Right, let me see here. Right, so emails.
All right, my man.
How's it going, mate? All right.
Aye, good.
I wasn't sharing it there, so.
No.
Right. Sorry, 2 seconds, Gav. I'm just going to send this to Ross. The link's on its way. Ross, that's it, sent. How you doing, Gav?
Aye, sound. All that good weather. It's encouraging. Got a bit of sun about a body.
Aye.
I tend to get a wee red face if I've been out in the sun the first day. So.
Aye. It's been good. It's been the same here. It's been excellent. Aye. Long may it continue, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I quite liked that last conversation.
Aye.
If I got it right, the good man was a Globe believer, but he was talking a lot of sense. So you see, there's a fine line that divides us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was talking about taking responsibility, not, whatever, believing that it's all somebody else's fault, you buy into it, as you've said many a time, Dale, and I think just where we do differ was the initial part where he talked about, believing in people. So, whilst, we can all give testimony, witness, credence, right? You need it in any kind of jury or jurisprudence, right? If you don't believe testimony, right, then you're not going to get started, right? Necessarily with anything. But I think where he might be missing the point is exactly what you said, that when these things contradict your lived life and your direct reality, then you've got an issue with it, right?
Well, that's the
difference. A pharmacologist can give me pills, and if I don't get any better, I can go back and say, hold on a minute, you're talking a lot of shit here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're contradicting my experience, and surely that needs to apply then across all sciences, right? Yeah. If he's going to take that standard for pharmacology.
I think it's a misunderstanding of a paranoid state of mind of somebody that wants to isolate themselves into thinking the whole world's out to get them. Again, as you say, as long as there's a practical aspect to it, I think we're in total agreement, and the man there was spot on. I think people just sometimes misunderstand where you're coming from and take things out of context and where you're actually applying it, So, again,
it back to the language aspect, Del.
Aye. And at the same time,
what words are we using to convey what principles,
Exactly.
A straight line is a curve with zero curvature.
Exactly. It's just that just like the scenario we're talking about, a person entering into a GP's facility is entering in there under the premise that they're going in with faith in what they represent, the particular medical practice, and then you have the practical aspect, as you say, you can take those pills, you can take them away and you can take them, and then you can see through your experience what the effect is, so there's a huge difference between that and mathematical conceptual notions of our existence and where we actually are. And again, as you say, it contradicts my direct experience of lived life and the practical applications that I know and utilise in everyday life. So again, it's refreshing again that somebody's not coming in antagonistic and us against them type dichotomy. It's there for us to have a rational discussion with each other and try and understand what's actually going on.
Exactly.
Without getting personal and all that shit. So
leaving all that crap at the doorstep. Taking off your shoes before you come into the house.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like just been a bit of respect, and that's the good thing, Dale. That as I say, it's a very thin dividing line, and most of it's about words and language and the meaning of those things, right?
Exactly. So for me, the man that was just on there a minute ago, I never got his name because he's Speed Freak here, I think it is. For me, that's an example of how somebody who's a Globe, believer or whatever should be conducting themselves with respect and manners and a tolerance and a willingness to understand and have honest discourse. It's not a difficult thing to have, So
no, not cool.
Ross, how you doing?
Hey, good man, good. Just wanted to say, love your content. I've been watching since I've been watching for a few months, but I've been keeping an eye on the channel just to see the activism that you're doing, just to try and get some sort of ideas, because people are no longer swayed by stuff that they see on screen. It's more about just sort of convincing them, having them question their own belief system, although that's not really fair to sort of question someone's belief system and try and change their views. But I've been watching the most recent stuff. Sorry, a bit nervous.
You're all right, mate. All right.
I heard you before Christmas saying that you were going to be hitting the sort of universities and stuff. But the way I see it is that we're on an unfair playing field. Daily, our kids and adults are being bombarded with this global imagery and continual reinforcement of it. And like to sort of win this, we sort of need to take on some of the things that they're doing. The fucking what do you call it? Subliminal messaging, just putting it in their face everywhere. So for me at the moment, I'm just I'm struggling to get anybody, to find anybody here that's sort of invested in this, questioning the globe. It's just the bombardment of the reinforcements just continue.
Exactly.
And, I'm just keeping an eye on the channel just to get ideas about how to approach people. Just watching how your street interviews going, whether they're successful or not. Or
exactly, mate. And what you've touched on there is what I've been saying from the very off, is look at the tools that have been utilised to put people into ignorance. Look at the tools of subtlety that are used in order to sell a product or pass any kind of subliminal message or whatever. Any tools that are being used of influence, then we can incorporate and use those exact same tools. I spoke about this probably in the second or third video that I ever put up. There's a difference though for me, because when utilising those tools and trying to put some sort of influence there is different when you're trying to empower people and get them to question their own reasoning processes than using those tools to keep people in ignorance and bewilderment so that you have the upper hand over them. It's two total different scenarios as far as I'm concerned. But the tools,
I completely agree. I completely agree. But the thing is that they're using these tools to just continually reinforce it, and obviously it's not. I don't want to be using the same tools to try and sway people into not believing it or into a different belief system. But it's they're still doing it, and to win this, if you got to fight fire with fire, if you got to try and adopt some of them,
you can use the same things. People are expressive. We can use art. We can use comedy. I can use my approach of planting subtle seeds through a process of questioning. Again, I'm no heading out with an attitude of converting or convincing people of anything. It's just about what for me. What's a huge highlight in my experience is the sheer ignorance of people in regards to what they believe and take to be true. How they will regurgitate mantras, display aspects of Dunning-Kruger, recite mantras and buzzwords and phrases. It's from a point of ignorance. So for me, it's like trying to trigger them into a process of questioning their own reasoning. No, it's up to them if they decide that they're going to analyse their own reasoning processes and come to a conclusion that the Earth's a globe. That's up to them. But for me, they have to realise that they have never questioned their own reasoning processes. Where do their beliefs and their assumptions actually emanate from? Is it off their own back? Did they look at it and address it themselves, or did they just take it on pure hearsay?
Yeah, it's just that I see the importance of this and how getting the word out to as many people as possible is just so important, to wake people up to the lies that are being told every day.
Yeah.
And
can I just make a quick? Sorry, Ross. Can I just make a very quick comment on what you guys just said? So, I think we all make the mistake that we think that everybody, whatever he hears or whatever he says, is actually judging whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any of us do all the time, right?
No.
You hear things and you take them on board, but you don't really, discern, reason to see whether that's true or not, right?
Yeah.
And you say things sometimes without actually, thinking about it deeply or whether what you're saying is true or not. So, I'm just going to say, I think we're all guilty of it, you know.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that's the aspects for me that I try and highlight is that people don't reason and understand where they're getting these things from. And I think it should be concerning to anybody that people regurgitate and recite beliefs on faith that they have no experience of. They don't even know or understand why they believe in the things they believe in. And for me, that's the real issue, you know, regardless of what it is they're actually believing or putting faith in. It's the act of doing so that's a concern to me. And I don't think I don't think you can be a healthy human being if you're operating from that position, you know.
Yeah, I know. Like, just from own experience, just everybody's got their own lives. Everybody's got their own worries. To be taking on something else like this is too much for them. Sometimes they just want to go back to the norm. But yeah, just the huge importance that it's and how it's just been continually being forced to them daily. Just everything. When you start to wake up to this and start to see how it's been perpetrated, like you're just in an unfair playing field, and I just don't know how to get through to some people. It's insane.
Aye. Well,
I hear what you're saying, but I also think, you know, the times have changed, so that there are people that, you know, are switching off their TVs, right? You know, when you hear statistics of channels like CNN, you know, dropping through the floor, right? Because everybody's waking up to the lies and the nonsense. Yeah. So I think there is definitely, you know, a turning tide, if you like, of people, you know, wanting to find other sources of information and have direct experiences with other people, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I'll definitely, I'm going to head off. It's like 6 a.m. here and been up for a few hours just trying to catch my first live stream. But yeah, I'm just going to keep in tune to see what activism's been done, and just to see how you're approaching different people, what works for some people, what lessons to take away from it, and how to sort of use that, because I haven't been so successful in trying to convince people recently.
You need to be sneaky.
Not convince them, but just to, you know what I mean.
That's it, mate. You just utilise any tools you can, mate. Again, just trying to have honest conversations with people, you know, without being imposing or too antagonistic or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. You know, for me, always trying to be as indirect as I possibly can be with people and leave it up to the people to make their own realisations. It's always the best method that I've found anyway. It's the least antagonistic. You know, you don't get as much pushback.
I totally agree, and I totally respect you for it, and I continue watching it just to see how you don't succumb to the like the judgments or the snide comments against you. Like I'm nowhere near as good as that. I'll quickly sort of jump to the defence. But yeah, look, good work. Thanks, guys. I'll head off. Cheers. Thanks for your work.
Cheers, Ross.
Thanks for your content.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Dale. Cheers, Gal.
It's not an easy task, you know, the conversation sometimes, Dale.
I know. I
mean, you know it yourself, you know, and everybody will have had a bad experience and a good experience and a conversation that went well, or you know, it's up and down sometimes, right? Exactly. Sometimes you just get off on the wrong foot. You say one word that triggers somebody, you know, and then the conversation's kind of lost, and it's difficult to pull back, you know. So.
Exactly, it's all a learning process, and it's the same for me as well. By no means is it a perfect process, and some of the aspects is always analysing your incentive, what your drive is, why you're doing what you're doing. And again, we have to be careful when we enter into these realms of conversion and convincing. And I don't want to convince anybody of anything, because that's just, you know, more of the same of what's went on before. You know, for me, it's about trying to always encourage people to make sure they're analysing things for themselves, coming to their own conclusions off their own back, and, you know, that's about it, you know, and that for me is the highlight of all this. That's the eye opener for me. Again, displayed in the upload that I put up yesterday. I'm going to analyse aspects of it. It's the ease at which people just regurgitate and take for granted these things that they assume and believe and put faith in. And a wee bit of further digging, it doesn't take long before you realise that a lot of it's absurd. And the sheer scale of it, from the common man in the street to an academic facility like Glasgow University, and the similarities of the mindset is staggering. You know, people would probably think, under how it's portrayed, that academic facilities, people are more intellectual, they're cleverer, you know, than the commoner, but they don't. They suffer from the exact same thing. This blind faith and ignorance, you know, and taking things on assumption. So for me, it's like trying to highlight that and get people to address it. Look, it's fine. Let's have this discussion. You know, we're talking about the objective reality that we all share. Let's analyse this information. What is the actual tangible, quantifiable proofs? What are these things people are reciting and regurgitating? Where does it come from? Do they have a proper understanding of it? And again, if anybody was trying to progress society and the civilization of the human mind into a more evolved state, then they would be pushing and looking and analysing these aspects as well. It can never be a bad thing if we are, my incentive is to have, you know, individuals more discerning and a better capacity. Then how is that a bad thing? The only thing that's bad for is a manipulator. Somebody who wants people in bewilderment and confusion and in a lower state of sense so that they can be malleable and utilised and used for some fucking agenda of a dipshit manipulator. So, I'm probably waffling, but, you know, I think I made the point.
I mean, the point, you know, is what you're saying, and as far as I'm concerned, since we all share the same things still, since we're all the same human beings and with the same packages of common sense and everything, right?
Yeah.
It's also the reason why we're all getting fooled, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's in any of these different sciences or in religions or in somebody selling you a piece of the Brooklyn Bridge, a moon rock, you know, a dark patch of the sky, right, for 50 billion. Right? The fact that we're all getting conned there because we all have the same operations of the mind, which are being utilized, as you say, you know, we're being deceived. So we apprehend something, right? You know, and then we jump to a conclusion, and the bit in the middle where we should be judging whether it's true or not, or whether it makes sense or not, that's the thing we're skipping over, right? And it doesn't matter in what field you're looking in.
Exactly,
right?
And those decisions are being made from a place of peer pressure and different influences rather than actual understanding and knowing. And again, I'm talking about this through my own experience. You know, it was the exact same process for me. It was like, hang on now, you know, this question's is there and it's been put to me. Now I'm going to have to analyse my own assumptions and my own beliefs in regards to this earth that I think I'm on and this model that I've been told about. And that's when you start to realise, fucking hell, I've been a moron. You know, I never really fully understood these words and this terminologies and these claims that were being made. I just bought into them. And it's just like you point out, Gav, we're missing that aspect of discernment. You know, it's fine listening to all these things, but you have to process it, and you have to have a
and you
method.
need the tools to process it, Joe.
Exactly.
Right? You need to know the language, the terms, the rhetoric. You know.
Exactly. And that's the biggest highlight for me is the lack that there is of that there, and then the hubris and the pomposity of people that think they're defending facts through their own discernment, and all ever gets an appeal to an authority or a consensus or some other fallacious fucking reasoning, you know. So it's staggering. And again, if that's just on that one point, where else is it happening? And again, the other aspects of people is how they will align with certain biases. So if they've taken something on, they've bought into it, their ego kicks in, they're only ever going to pursue information or avenues that reaffirm the beliefs that they've took on board. There's a whole complexity to it that for me...
self-perpetuation, right?
Exactly.
Which goes around the whole, you know, your stature, your position, your structure, the whole societal part as well, right? Exactly. Money and... So, everything perpetuates itself if you're not careful, and that's the cord that needs to be cut at the end of the day, too.
And the crux of the whole thing is, for me, is total intellectual honesty. Honesty with yourself first and foremost, and you have to work at that so that you can annihilate any of your own, you know, biases or, you know, insecurities that may lead you on a path of self-deceit, because that's the crux of the whole thing. People are willing to deceive themselves, never mind external sources and influence. It comes back to the individual and their willingness to be deceived by themselves, you know. So
you've only got two active powers. You can either do something or forbear from doing it. And even the decision to not do it is a decision. That's where people would like to say, oh, I never did anything. And that's when they'll like to blame somebody.
Exactly.
But not doing anything is an active choice. Right? It's an active choice.
That's it.
And people tend to overlook it. Yeah.
Exactly. And again, you know, in this situation, my reasoning, well, I've had these realizations, you know, and I've made the choice to be active in it because for me, I'm passionate about it. I see the importance of it. I realise, you know, my own downfalls and what I was susceptible and what I succumbed to through my own experience of life, and I realise the relevance and the importance of it, and that's what makes you an activist. You want to try and engage with people to highlight these underlying problems that you see in the world and you see in your relations. So that then comes the aspect of how am I going to approach that? You know, I need to look at psychology. I need to look at, you know, the influence of people, how I'm going to, you know, try and engage in these types of discussions with them. So there's a whole process to the whole thing, rather than people just jumping in blindly, you know, thinking they're a smart ass. They hear some new information and that's it. They run with it and they go away, start fucking infecting everybody with their nonsense, you know. So.
No, absolutely. And then you get the rest of the idiots coming online, you know, narcissistic, you know, joining the party, you know.
Exactly.
Think they've got a handle on something, think they're funny, think they can play piano or, you know, whatever it is, and then, you know, go completely off on a fucking rail, you know. They don't make anything any better.
No. And these are the psychology aspects of human behaviour that I intend on, you know, needling into, because it's the root of the whole thing for me, you know. So well, I'm going to open up. I'm going to go to the next email, Gav, so I'm going to need to shut that one down. I'll just send you a link to the next one. All right, 2 minutes. All right, I need to switch that off. Right. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting this to work. Right, I'll try again. Your mum. How did that go? What was I doing there? Like that. Where's that noise coming from? What's happening here? Nah, I think I've stopped sharing, Gav. Just check, make sure I'm not sharing anything. No. Right, your mum. I'm going to send you this link. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to see if it works, and then I'll move on. And also, if we go here, Eugene, so that was Speed Freak. Thanks, Eugene, for letting us know that, your name there. Appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we can have a further discussion about it. It was refreshing, mate. For me, it's the way this discussion has to progress, you know. It's fine if people want to believe in a globe or a particular flat or a concave model. As I continually say to people, why can we not suspend beliefs? Realise that there is a movement of people who are questioning the validity of the foundations of their very reality, and let's embrace it and put it on the table, and then we can resolve it. All this people acting like they have ownership over what the objective truth is absolutely preposterous and totally bizarre, and should be very alarming to people that, again, you've got elitist type mindsets thinking they have got the right to do so. They don't have any fucking right, and they better just snap out of it, because I keep saying it, this is not going to go away. So you better resolve your attitude and your pomposity and your mannerisms and step up to the mark. And let's resolve the whole thing once and for all. If what you believe, regardless of what it is objectively true, then you should be secure in that. There's absolutely no need for you to try and resist any questioning. But all I see is resistance to the questioning, which is alarming to me. And it should be alarming to anybody else.
Hello, Del.
Who's this?
This is Sean, man. Your mom on the email.
How's it going?
I'm doing all right, dude. Sorry about the trouble with the email and all that earlier. I had to download a different browser.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah, I like your discussions, man, as they've been going, and I like your method and you're teaching people, you're helping people to learn how to think in order for themselves instead of lay down and lick the hand of somebody to feed them what they're going to feed them like little baby birds.
Yeah. That's it. That's the whole crux of the problem, mate, you know?
Yeah, I agree, man. There's a lot that's stemming out of that. Like people feeding in their ego and trying to join a cult of personality and get carried away into the sunset or something.
Aye, they're all vying to get in the history books and have statues erected in their fucking name and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, you might be onto something there, man. They teach us that shit from a very young age, don't they? The hero worship.
Yeah, that's it. You see it in people, you know, they want to be important, they want to be relevant. I don't know if it's people who never had a voice through their childhood, who were maybe not a popular kid or whatever, or maybe they were a popular kid and they're desperate to hold on to that stature. I don't know what drives some of these people. It's not who I am, so it's very difficult for me to understand their drives and their incentives, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose for me, I can look into my own experience, you know, and see all my falling downs and my weaknesses, you know, and I can kind of see those certain inputs taking effect on me in certain ways, you know, like for example, like when that guy with all the homosexual advances or type of talk, whatever he was putting your way when he called in, like the way, I mean, I saw it affected you, dude. I saw it affected you, and I think I was thinking to myself, man, I probably would have been going off on that guy, freaking out.
What do you mean by it affected me?
Well, I could see that it irritated you, and it affected your standpoint, and I was kind of thinking it would have affected me a lot worse, more than likely.
Well, flies that constantly buzz about your head, you know, trying to suck your blood are a bit irritating, you know?
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Only because I've had a sustained period of time experiencing these dipshits.
It's a go-to method of attack, I think.
That's it. But they think, you know, aspects of my being, whether it be my big nose, my arse chin, my man boobs or something, I think they think it's somehow going to have some adverse effect on you and make you go away or something. I don't know. It's bizarre.
I think it does for a lot of people, dude. I can tell you used to do that a lot with me until honestly fairly recently. Starting to abandon all the persons.
They need to be accepted, you know, through superficial means is way beyond me. I couldn't give a fuck about any of that, you know. I couldn't give a fuck whether I had a 34 double D fucking bust, and it doesn't matter, you know. Bring up any aspect of my character or persons and try and slate it. It's just going to run right off the back of me. I could not give a fuck.
I couldn't care about that anymore either, man. I could tell you, I used to buy into it a lot, but it's stupid, man. I mean, when you it's like when you walk around the corner on the street and there's a building right on the corner, you can't see what's coming, and then you round that corner and you can see down the whole street and your whole view is completely changed. Now I'm like looking back at how people are so very much feeding into that.
Yeah.
That personality stuff, and it just looks stupid now. And I kind of feel ashamed that I used to do it. You know what I'm saying?
But you know, we all have.
And I still catch myself, I think, man, honestly.
Okay, I mean, it's very easy to sit on a pedestal and cast judgment. you know, from our perfect stance. You know, we've all done it, you know, but this is, again, it's part of the old hat, the old ways of the mind gone by. It's time for us to evolve past this fucking nonsense, you know. And again, once people let go of the attachment of and placing relevance on other people's subjective opinions, life gets so much easier, you know. But you can get people can get bogged in. So I totally agree. It may have an effect on some people. That type of psychological, you know, attack would have an effect. But on the likes of me, it's like pissing in a fucking gale force wind. You know, you're only going to get a mouthful of your own piss. So.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation to step out of the consensus, man, because the consensus wants you back, and the consensus attacks. It doesn't just let you walk away, man.
That's it. That's it. Well, that's part of the cult mindset. You know, people fear change, and if somebody's leaving, then that's a threat to their certainty or perceived certainty. So they'll fight tooth and nail to bring you back into the fold, you know?
Yeah. Like the way these NASA guys and so many different fields of science, especially when it's getting into like the metaphysical stuff, the stuff that you can't test, the quasi science. Exactly. They like to talk in terms of we are doing this now, we are going to Mars now, we this, we that. So all these people sit. I mean, I know it's for fact because it used to work for me, man. On me, it used to work on me, and it worked in me too. I mean, it fucked me up. But they tell you that we're doing this and we're doing that. And there you go. There's your identity. You're in a cult of personality. You don't even know it.
Exactly. Swayed by the tide, you know. That's it, mate. These are the aspects that are a problem.
Well, and I think you're teaching people how to like order your thoughts. Like it's easy to decide. I think, in my opinion, it's easy to decide that the world around us and the systems that are built around us is fucked up, and we want out, and we know that it's wrong and something's got to change, but we don't have an orderly fashion set in our minds with which to process it and reason put it in order, and then from there walk away with your life in your hands still.
Well, that's it.
From it.
That's what.
But you're arming people with this, and I think that puts you in the crosshairs of some nasty people. Well, so you get these weird trolls calling in and
whatever. I'm not a teacher for anybody. I can only be me and walk my walk, and that's all that anybody can do. And if it's something useful that people get from me, then fine, you know.
Yeah, I do. You're just, and like you said, dude, I appreciate it even more because you're just walking your life. You're just learning as you go, like everyone else is. And I see the truth in your words. It rings true in my ears. You know, whether someone else gets it or not, I get it, man. It makes a lot of sense to me. And I can tell you that your modus operandi of laying things out and saying, hey, I just listening to you, for me, it has helped me to say, to more definitively draw this line, which has helped me a lot. This line that defines this is a belief, and over here on the other side, this I know. Exactly. This over here, this is belief. I believe. This I know.
Well, that's it. That's the difference. Processing information, and you know, view the brain as a processor of information, and you as the conscious observer are responsible for filing that and putting it in its appropriate category. You know, just as you say, is this a belief? Is it something I take on faith? Is it something I know that I've experienced? Rather than just, you know, mixing the two up and thinking that hearsay, and because you understand the hearsay, that you think you've got a grasp on things, and therefore you file it in the cabinet of a knowing of truth. You know, that's a lie. That's self-deceit right there, you know?
Yeah, and the easiest person to lie to is yourself.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly, man. That's it.
And the worst part about that, it's the worst person to lie to also, because when you put yourself under deceit, then you can be trying to tell everyone around you the truth, but you're lying to them.
That's it.
Because you're coming from bullshit. Yeah. So you could be doing your best. You're really, really trying with a great, honest effort, but you're feeding people shit.
That's it. That's where it comes to discernment again, you know. Everybody can offer up their product or their walk, and if people want to buy into any aspect of somebody else's endeavours or walk, that's up to them. They have to be, responsible for that, So, and again, anybody who's walking a walk and talking about objectivity should always be open to honest discourse and interactions with other people, so that we can question every aspect and lay it out on the table and see what's actually true and what's not,
Yeah, definitely. And it's like I said to you in my email. I think the timing in which it hit you was maybe a little bit bad timing, but it's like I said in the email. I mean, I'm afraid, dude. There's a level of fear involved in coming in here and talking in front of a bunch of people I don't know, but like I said, dude, everyone has fear, and some people have courage, and it's like courage is a thing that you nurture. It's like the old saying, like, which dog is going to fight? If you have two dogs in pens across the way from each other, one's a white dog, the other's a red dog. Which one? They know they're going to fight one day, and you raise them for 3 years each, and eventually they know at the end of the 3 years they're going to fight. Which dog is going to win?
That's whatever one you feed.
Aye, the one you feed is going to win. It's going to win. That's the one. It's what are you feeding, right? So
exactly.
And I like what you're saying. I mean, you're helping me to honestly to step out. I've never been on one of these hangouts before. It's kind of like it's a bit of a leap, honestly, for me to jump out here and do this. But I'm just sick and tired of being on the sidelines and trying to throw in a comment in this weird system of YouTube where they got everybody's in here having a real conversation, and then there's the chat where you can throw in some opinions and the shit's just going so fast.
Yeah.
It's like it tends to make you want to have to fucking scream your lungs out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be seen, and you're typing in your messages, and it's almost pointless.
How do you know you're dealing with a real honest person as well? You get people who are just there ripping the piss. So it's a waste of time if you're, sometimes, as I've said before, these types of things are good for sharpening your tools and learning a bit about yourself, but you have to leave it where it is, and you can only take that so far. If you continue there, you're just going to cause yourself some adverse effects, psychologically, emotionally. So, it's much better, as I say, always encouraging people to have direct, interactions like this. It's always more beneficial than wasting your breath or your energy in comment sections and chat boxes trying to get your point across,
Yeah, I hear you, man. And I mean, you've got like over 300 people in here right now, and I can only imagine how many comments are going to be left. I know that I wouldn't read through 300 comments on every single video. I can tell you that right now.
No,
just being honest. I got other things to do in my life, just like you do.
Exactly. It's just trying to apportion your time. And that's why, I'll open up on a Saturday, because people, if they've got something they're passionate about or they want to say, they've got this option to say it. I don't have time, and I get kind of intimidated, to be honest with you, by getting up in the morning to 50 emails and 200 comments on a video. It's like, how the fuck am I going to deal with this? So
yeah.
So
that's a lot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is Gav in here too?
Gav's here.
Sorry.
How you doing, man? I'm here too.
Good.
I'm listening in. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to waffle too much and push you out of the room or anything there, man. I saw you pop up for just a sec, but
no, not at all. This is a time for other people to speak. Me and Dale always get a chance to catch up in between, so no issues there, man. Just you. By the way,
what you two are doing.
What I just want to touch on a couple of the aspects that you talked about. So the I think there is a difference in what Beyond the Imaginary Curve does, right? In as much as that it also shows people the difference between a kind of, I don't know, I don't want this to sound stupid, but individual bravery and institutional cowardice, right? So you've got all the people in their kind of group think that are not prepared to come out and state what they really think, right? They're just swaying in the wind. And then you've got people who will come up and talk, and I think that's really important, because otherwise you can't have a discussion, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing you touched on as well, the difference between belief and knowledge, and I think it's important to realize that knowing something does not require a language, but believing something, you have to attach some kind of label to it in your head, right? Or, whether it's a mathematical language or a spoken language, right? You're kind of putting words in order, I think was the word you used, right? And that's where we need to be very careful that language is the thing that's being used to manipulate what we believe rather than what we know.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make these couple of points. But keep on going. Don't let me interrupt you.
No, I'm just.
Well, I'm sorry.
On you go.
I'm just thinking what Gav said there. I'm just thinking about these symbols, you know, and like with these symbols that we see everywhere, they're on these gas station corporation logos, and they're on everything. They're on every bill that you get in your mail. These symbols. It's like that guy. Who was it? I think it might have been that Chinese general Sun Tzu or Sun Tzu. I think is the way they're properly pronounced. Anyways, that guy, I think it was him, said that. No, it was Confucius. He said that. Yeah. It's not armies and whatever that rule the world. It's signs and symbols.
Yeah.
Because they're like you brought up, they're conjuring up these images in our heads.
But
yeah, I mean, people jump from what they see, they think something signifies it, they jump to the thing signified, right, without judging of the truth in the middle. You know?
Not even thinking about what's being said to them.
Yep. It's a process that is part of the human mind. You know, I mean, it's a well-known process, right? There's nothing wizardry about this. Everybody thinks that way, and everybody should be realizing that that's the way they think, and then they can see how these things happen so easy, right?
Yeah.
You know, you look at something and you immediately think, oh, right, that's that, you know, but you don't actually question it, as Dale says, and as how Dale shows in the activism, that it's what people don't do all the time. Yeah. I love that last interview, Dale, where I think it was a wee guy at the end, nice fella, where he had a lovely grin in his face, actually, when he realised that, you know, the absurdity of what he was thinking. You know, he looked pleasantly surprised, you know. He took it with humour. Maybe that's a better way of putting it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it is humorous. You know, it's good that, again, it's part of the aspects of what I'm going to do the wee analysing, you know, and some of the interviews and the mannerisms and how to make it a laugh like that, you know, and have a bit of banter with people, you know. So it's always the best method to get them to, you know, snap out of the illogical nonsense that they like to spew out there, you know.
And if people can see how they reason, right? So, you know, these three operations of the mind, right? You know, you apprehend something, you know, a cow, and then you say, oh, a beautiful cow. So you're giving it some kind of label, right? Yeah. And then you jump into a conclusion, all cows are beautiful, you know? Yeah. So, you know, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, but just to, you know, see these different categorizations. And it's a well-known thing, you know. I mean, Aristotle wrote about it for thousands of years. So people know it, but people don't realize it anymore now, right? There's just too much hero worshipping, Marvel comics, TV, you know, bullshit, science fiction. I mean, it's amazing that people don't understand these basic concepts.
What's up?
Yeah, and I think that might be the plan. I mean, I study into history as much as I possibly can, like not the bullshit tale of events, but what really, really looks like it happened. And what I can see is the man has always been ruled over by somebody that's squatting in a big ass castle that's designed to be attacked. It's designed to kill people who are attacking. You know, this kind of scenario where man is being forced to his knees always. And you know, it's like that these Freemasons with their order up cow symbolism stuff that they always have, you know, it's like their big motto. It seems to be like maybe these ruling peoples, like whoever they are and whatever, if it's bloodlines or whatever the story really is. I mean, I could totally see how if you're farming, if you got a ranch and you got all these cattle out here, and you know, say it's a family of 10 ranchers, you know, a man and like 3 sons or whatever's going on. You got a family of 10 men and women, and you got a ranch of like 20,000 cattle. How do they control all the cattle and make sure that the cattle don't turn around and say, you know, we've had enough of this. Right. You got to keep the cattle stupid.
We need to keep them. You need to keep them at the hands of the farmer, you know, and
licking the hand that feeds.
Always
right?
make sure that the cattle are always looking externally to some other farmer or some other shepherd, and never realising that it's where they place their attention and that the power lies directly at their feet. You know, so it's, you know, again, I can't jump on this bandwagon of blaming, you know, external sources. Of course, there's people offering products out there and who are opportunists and will utilise certain aspects in order to benefit themselves, but that can only happen at the ignorance of the people. So the people have to realise their own ignorance and then remove their attention and start taking responsibility for what they buy into and what they contribute to. Blaming symbols and, you know, the Freemasons or the Jews or the Illuminati or the Jesuits or any of these bad guys is not going to resolve the issue as long as you're trying to perpetuate a victim mindset, you know, where the victim is never the wrongdoer. It's always some big bad entity. And the victim can never do no wrong. It's their responsibility, you know, where they place their attention. So,
it wasn't me.
Nah.
I never did it.
It was him. His symbols, his 33 symbols made me do it. It's big bad, that triangle's awful evil. It made me judge. I never meant to stab the man 47,000 times in the back. It was the Illuminati's triangle number 33. It made me do it, honest.
Voices in my head. I know people need to take responsibility, stay away from that shit. Whilst they do employ tools and it's good to discern and look at all these things, you certainly can't let yourself be, should I say, again, overpowered or, you know, motivated by that.
Symbols in the literal sense, whether it's a symbol like a triangle with an eye in it, or a symbol of what a relationship is, or a symbol of what a career is or a life is. These are all symbols and symbology, and again, it's people's attachments and understanding and relationships to them, what they buy into. You know, whether they're buying into them through ignorance and apathy or willfully or whatever. Again, it always comes back to that individual and understanding their mental processes and the trinkets of influence. You know, and once you realise that, you can start to take responsibility and start to edit out these external sources of influence, you know. So, again, it always comes back to how do we get to the root of the issue, which is lying at the individual's feet. How do we help them to discern? How do we help them to understand their own psychological and emotional processes? You know what I mean?
Yep. All of the above.
Yep.
Yeah, good points. You caught me slipping. I was slipping.
No worries, mate. So I appreciate you coming on, man. It's not an easy thing, so.
I appreciate you having me, man. I have a lot of respect for, you know, your willingness to just have some random schmo off the street show up and get on your YouTube with you and talk with you.
Well, that's that, mate, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, and I'd like to make one real quick point before I go, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
About this whole, we banter around this term, this open mind, keep an open mind. Well, we can agree that a computer is styled after a mind, wouldn't you say? The way, you know, you put inputs, it processes, and then there's outputs and so on.
I think all technology is based on what we observe and experience in the natural world, whether it be the mechanics of the body or some aspect of what we call the natural world. It's a reverse engineering.
Well, I'd like to posit a thought that maybe you can. It's something I've chewed on over a great amount of time. Just kind of analyzing these phrases that we like to use, and we kind of use them like somebody handed us a shovel and we just started digging. We never inspected the shovel. This open mind thing, I kind of liken it to having an open computer. Like if you got your internet hooked up to your computer and it's got an open mind, it's going to take whatever downloads and whatever kind of shit gets dumped into it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I propose have a fucking closed mind. Have a steel trap of a mind that remembers everything. And you open up a little bit and you take what you want. You chew on it.
I think I would change that analogy to, you know, an open signal. And you have an active processing unit in there that's filing and assessing the information that's coming through. That's the problem, you know. So I totally agree. You know, these phrases are bandied about. Open mind. Just open yourself up and let everything pour in. No, that's total bullshit. You have to be analysing and assessing what you're taking on board, you know.
Right. I want a decent bit of firmware, right? Yeah. You know, the bit that's embedded in the hardware, and then I want a choice of operating system.
I guess that's what we're here working at, isn't it, man? Yeah. And I think we got to help each other do this. I think I can't do this all myself. I'm willing to stand up. I know that there's hammers waiting, man, but I'm willing to stand up. Fuck those hammers, and let's help each other. Let's help each other, man, because I don't think I can find my way through all the darkness and figure it all out myself, but I'm willing to stand up to the ridicule and the hatred and to get back in line and help each other.
Exactly, mate. We can only offer up our own experiences and what we have, you know, and that's good. If everybody steps up to that, then we've got a better bank of understanding and possibility, you know, so.
Hey, there's 3 of us now. We're a gang.
Aye, cult.
It's a conspiracy.
You've now joined the cult of BTIC, apparently, or something like that, you know. So,
well, good stuff, man. If we help each other out, like instead of continuing on with what we're taught, I think we're taught systemically to have an adversarial viewpoint of one another. And watching your videos, Del, and listening to you and Gav, it's helping me to re-choose my friends and who I'm looking at online and how I'm processing all this information, man. I like your point. You helped out my analogy, Del, with the it's not just a closed down system, but it's open. It's taking everything in, and you've got a really good filtering system. You and Gav, you guys coming together. You guys are doing awesome work. I appreciate what you've done. Cheers. I thank you guys.
Cheers for coming on, mate. Appreciate it.
Have a nice one.
Good chat. Enjoyed it. See you, man.
Take care, mate. Right. Gav, same again. I'm going to need to shut this one and move on swiftly to the next.
Bye-bye.
All right. Emails, right, hang on. Right, Ross, I'll send you one a wee second. Veritas Rising. Well, they always enjoy your Hangout. Just a suggestion, maybe use the Hangout to explore some questions with regard to issues that will affect everyone in the near future, i.e. the rollout of artificial intelligence, 5G technology, along with cashless society. I don't think people understand the dangerous ramifications of ignoring any of this. Here's a link to some good info on 5G you can check out. It's Deborah Taveras. You may have heard of her, a woman who has spent 20 years researching and informing us of most of the stuff that they're using to keep us enslaved. Her website, blah, blah, blah. It would be good to gauge people's views or concerns, if any, they might have. Keep up the great work. I'll continue to watch the Hangout, whatever the topic. Cheers, Gordon. Again, Gordon, that's why, you know, I have this open platform. I'm just one man, and I can only portion my time to what I think is relevant and speak to where my passions and my direction and intent is at. And right now, my capacity is not there on any of these aspects. So, you know, I'd appreciate, you know, if you've got something to present or you've got something you think's important to people. Obviously, I've read it out. You know, I've heard about these things. I've got my own input in regards to AI. I've gave that a bit of consideration. 5G technology, I've not really delved into so much because obviously it's just about time and prioritising my time, mate. So again, you know, I'm not shutting down any of these things, but if somebody like yourself, that's why this is opened on a Saturday, bring whatever you think's relevant, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you're looking into, and offer it up to people. That's what it's here for. People expecting me to portion my time, to turn my attention to something that they see as relevant and important. That's, you can't ask people that, and then, you know, what you're going to say because I don't, oh, I'm a gatekeeper, I don't want to talk about that. These are the aspects that people need to get over. You know, I'm a man here offering an open platform for people to discuss whatever they want to discuss. I can only speak to the things that I understand and where my mind is at, and that's about it. If I was to start talking about the 5G technology thing just now, I'd be talking from ignorance because it's not an avenue I've pursued. So people that are pursuing these avenues, by all means, use the platform to come and bring it, you know. But, you know, expecting me to turn my attention to something you're passionate about or you're looking at, I just can't do that right now. Maybe if somebody comes on and they trigger some sort of curiosity in me or you know, to the point where I go and look at these, then fair enough. But, You need to bring it to me. You need to bring it to the open platform and offer it up. It's there, utilise it and use it. So I appreciate the links that you've sent me, mate. I'll check them out. Right, okay, so Ross. Let me just have a check, see what else is in the waiting. Time away on. There are the Globers, seems like they are dwindling. Good work, dying off one by one. Anyways, I'm having a problem with my erection of a small scale flat earth model. I have two opposing vertical clamps that act as double thrusting hump mechanism which binds the two joints together. If you were going to try and show the earth was flat using a single wanking alone in my bed, like the sorry sad man I am, what would you use? I don't know, but somebody sent me a video of some Chinese sperm extracting machines. Maybe you should go and have a look at them. Right. So I'm waiting on Ross. Aye, double humping thrust mechanisms. Honestly, I get sent a video. It was Dan, Crazy Polish Man, sent me a video of some mad Chinese thing. You know, you stick your cock in it and it fucking, I think it's meant to be shaped like a vagina or something, a wee tube, a sperm bank, you know. You just walk in, whip your cock out, stick it in, and the machine does it for you. Each to their own. It's a fucking crazy world, you know. People talk about, you know, us being fucking crazy, man. Fuck me. Go and take a look at the fucking place.
Was that the sperm extraction machine? I missed that.
Aye. Aye.
What does it do?
It's like a wee tube, you know, shaped like a vagina, and it thrusts in and out of the fucking mechanism. And you just fucking you just stand there, stick your cock in, and it drains you like a fucking cow. You know what I mean? You go to
end up with a dry cough at the end.
you go to the desk and you get fucking so many dollars per milliliter or something. I don't fucking know how it works, but I'm kind of curious. See if there's a fucking opportunity there to make some fucking quick cash, you know?
That'd be sick. Yeah. As you say, it's amazing what the human being will create.
Aye.
What he thinks is a good thing.
Clever fuckers, you know. There's a huge demand in sperm banks that we have to, you know, make the machines, you know, more appealing. Maybe that's to draw in some business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe Timmy Osmond can take his wee picture of his sailor and stick it above the machine and fucking give them a fucking barrel load of spunk. You know what I mean? Make himself a fortune, and then he doesn't need to annoy his own tinterwebs every week. You know?
Yeah, at the very least, he's get gainful employment.
That's it. Hands-free fantasy world. Oi! Anywho, we're just waiting on Ross here. Methinks.
I'm just going to quick lip to the loo, man.
Aye, no worries. Cool. Aye, that's it. Can stick a fucking poster of my saggy man boobs in front of the fucking wanking machine. You know what I mean? Some fucking plasticine nipples on there, and they can fucking play with the nipples while the machine wanks the fucking life right out of them. Fucking yes! Sorted, you know? At least we're catering for some of the deviant tendencies of the world, you know? Nah, no worries, Bill. Anytime, mate. Enjoy. Aye. Or he can turn it round and he can have a reach around. Kid on, he's playing with my man boobs that way. And imagine he's fucking sticking it in my arse or something. I don't know, whatever fucking gets these people off. Knock yourself out. You enjoy yourself. You know, who am I to fucking cast judgment upon thee? You know? Go and shag your wee machine and your fucking sailor pictures. It's not going to resolve the issues of what our objective reality is, but, you know, maybe it'll, you know, bring you down a peg or two, you know, you'll not be as heightened. I don't fucking know. Silicone dildo. There's a marketing fucking avenue. Seems to be a lot of men on here that are fucking... There's another one, conspiracy cats. There you go, conspiracy cats. Chinese wanking machine. You can stick my picture on the front of it and fucking knock yourself out. Live out all your fantasies. You know? You don't need to do it in a covert fucking sneaky way. You know, I can read you, son. You know? All those deep-seated fantasies that you fucking harbour for the big fucking chin face. Yeah.
I'm back.
How you doing?
I just had a quick wank.
Right.
What was that? Was I hearing something about dildos?
Dildos.
Are you going to be selling dildos?
Aye. Maybe conspiracy cats could advertise it on his channel for all these fucking fantasists. You know? I wonder if he's grew up yet and ready to step up to the fucking mark and have a fucking real discussion. I highly fucking doubt it. I note that they only piped in when we started talking about Chinese wanking machines, you know. It must have spurred their enthusiasm on to the point.
Right, it spunked them on, huh?
Aye, that's it. Aye. I wonder if they give you fucking sensitive baby wipes to clean yourself up afterwards. I don't know. I would like some clarity on these aspects of this fucked up cult that we live in. You know what I mean?
I think they need towels to clear away the dribbling at the mouth still. The drooling.
Aye. Fuck. I'm gonna go wrecking the place. Right. Well.
Right. You kicked me out again.
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying, it doesn't look as if we're getting a show.
Oh.
Or does somebody come in there? No.
No, I thought you were going to pass the link to the next guy.
I did, but it's been a few minutes now, so nothing's coming. And there's no other requests, so.
It's just me and you then.
Aye. Oh, what you got to say? All on Chinese wanking machines.
Yeah, other one dildos.
It started off well, and we've now descended into fucking Chinese wanking machines with my pictures in front of them. I mean, I don't know how that happened. Cheers. Cheers, Jed. They're all appearing now. Are you so excited by the prospect of Chinese wanking machines? Is that what's going on here? Fuck talking about the shape of the earth.
Right. The hairy ball theorem. Right. Shaving your bars and dildos.
Exactly. Jack was asking, you got here late, did Gav comment on the math professor from the last video? No, we're going to do a wee analytic on the lot, you know, particularly the maths guy, though.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that during the week, yeah?
Aye, we'll save that for then, Aye.
Well, it was interesting. All I can say is they just shit and piss like everybody else.
Exactly. Exactly.
They make the same mistakes as everybody else. They take the same things for granted, or they don't see them, or they, you know, take their axioms and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's it.
Did you, by the way, did you enjoy that Millennium Problem I told you about this afternoon?
Aye.
Pretty good, that, isn't it?
Aye, I need to read into it, as I say to you. I need to get a discussion with you. Obviously, it's I'm just skimming the surface.
We'll highlight that during the week too.
Aye, exactly. Conspiracy cats, the worrying thing about those wanking machines is that we're all next to each other like urinals. You can high five all your buddies though. You can all hold hands and sing Kumbaya while the machine's wanky senseless. Can you? Oh, brotherly love and all that fucking stuffs.
There's I think there's a group of monkeys called the bonobos that do much the same thing. That if one of the colony is kind of pissed off, then other men will go up and wank him off, or other women will go up and wank him off. So that it releases all the tension and the stress and the fighting. That's honest.
Maybe that's why I'm so highly strung.
I told you about it.
Maybe there you go, conspiracy cats. No, that's how to relieve my highly strung passion. Come and give me a wank.
It's bonobo cats.
Appease me. Come and wank me. Oh, fuck. Right, we better fucking stop right there. You know.
This will just degenerate into bad conversation.
Exactly.
I'm going to call it a night, my man. It's been good chatting with you.
Nice.
Thanks to all the people and all that, all the mods, all the good folks.
Cheers, mate.
See you, my man.
Take
Speak
care.
to you soon.
All right. See you shortly, buddy. Yeah, do you have an equation for that? Fucking conspiracy cats will knock one out. He'll be out with that fucking whiteboard pronto. Get it done, son. Sing us a song. Happy birthday to me. Right, appreciate everybody that came on this evening. Thank you very much. Mods, as always, much appreciated. Everybody in the chat, people watching, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very, very soon. You challenge me to a guitar battle, fucking bring it on. If you want some lessons first, give me a shout. Right, take care of yourselves, people. See you soon.